He can mail it.
Alright,
See if the.
I'm thinking of my.
Let's see if the IT. No. It is not $6.
Yes, it is. Just the one-sided piece of that. I know what size it is.
The IT guy will give me one for free.
Okay, then just show them what it looks like. But that side of the charger is like the really cheap part. You have the side of the box, like with the charger. That's what's expensive.
like to call Public Safety Emergency Management to order at 6:30. I have some guests this evening to go over the feasibility study for the new public safety complex that's in the future. I have Chief Hegney here and Chief LaChance. Jeremy's on Zoom and Jack Jacoby was supposed to be here, but I don't see him and I don't think he's on Zoom unless he got the time mixed up. What I'm gonna do is ask Chief Hegney to come to the podium and go over what he's got. And Chief LaChance and Jeremy can talk about the financial end of it. And I was hoping Jack would be here to talk about the building commission's part in it and what their thought the matter is. So with no further ado, thanks for coming, Chief. Kyle, you're up.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the invitation to speak before this honorable body. Before I start, I must handicap myself. I forgot my glasses.
I use these.
You
can give it back to me after.
No, I think I can get through it, but if I back up 5 feet to look at this, you'll know why.
You
said no to cue cards.
You're only telling your age. You are over 40 now, aren't you?
I was close, very close to 50. So
never would have guessed it.
thank you,
Chief,
sir.
there's a pair of readers in my drawer.
Can I borrow those?
Absolutely. Peter
The
will
one that-
show you where my drawer is.
They're gone. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How they look, right?
They're not bad. They could be pink, you know.
Well, that's what I was getting scared at. I said, I gotta do it for the team. Thank you for inviting me to speak in front of this honorable body tonight regarding this feasibility for a combined police fire facility. I just wanted to, I made a few notes and I just want to read from those notes. Obviously, I'm standing in front of you in support of this funding request. The purpose and scope of the project basically comes down to the justification of why we need this done. Obviously, without even giving the existing conditions of our current fire facilities throughout the city and our fire headquarters and the police station, we're in drastic need of planning for the future and replacing these very aging buildings. The part of this, the scope of the study and the purpose is the justification. It will examine the existing facilities and outline their discrepancies. It will highlight what is wrong with these facilities and what needs to be fixed. There are two types of deficiencies. There are operational deficiencies and functional deficiencies. The operational deficiencies relate to the department's day-to-day policing efforts. Functional deficiencies relate to the space needs, HVAC, such as equipment throughout the building, building codes, security, etc. Operationally and functionally, we have outgrown the existing police station. Matter of fact, I would say about 35% of our operation is in the old post office right now. Recently, this honorable body gave us funding to purchase workstations for those officers that are working out of there. And we're looking for more of a footprint in that building because we have no more space in our current facility. The study will tell us what is wrong with the current facilities where we're not meeting the needs such as ADA, handicap, repairs to the building, capital projects. If you, the building, I believe, was built in 1924. It was the Attleboro Elks. In 1985, it was transitioned into a police facility with the cell block being built in 1985. So it is 96 years old. It served its purpose, its life. The usefulness of that building has expired. So part of this, this feasibility study will review if it's even worth rehabbing that building, which it probably isn't, but it's a comprehensive study. It will review if a rehab is viable. The study will also include what they call a programming study, meaning that what is the future projection of growth in the city, in the police department, the needs of the police department, response needs, equipment needs, technological needs. It will look 20, 30, 40, 50 years into the future. Arguably, this could be a 100-year building like the current one is right now. So in addition, it will review and examine site recommendations across the city, perhaps city property, if that's available, or privately owned property. Obviously, parking has become an issue significantly at City Hall, the police station, the fire department. It will certainly review parking, recommendations of parking. So the opportunities for efficiencies and shared resources will also be outlined in this report, meaning what shared resources that we can do that we're not currently doing now, such as with a combined fire police facility, physical plants, HVAC, and what have you. And I would even say that we probably should entertain if it could be a police fire facility with a council on aging, to bring them into the fold, like they did in Mansfield. They usually just did a complex of 3 departments in one site plan. Excuse me. Most importantly, this study is the start of a professional action plan for the future. It's a roadmap. There is no right time to build any municipal building in any city or town. There is never a right time, right? Never is. However, if you don't plan, you're planning to fail. And we owe it to the taxpayers to make sure that we're spending their taxpayer funding to our departments in a righteous manner. Meaning that, are we throwing good money after bad? Eventually, we're going to need a facility. I probably won't be the fire chief when this building gets constructed.
Police chief.
I'm sorry, a police chief. I wish I was a fire chief.
You might not be wrong.
I hope you're not the fire chief.
It's busy being the police chief these days. I probably won't be, I probably will be retired. You know, I don't expect this building to be constructed within 8 to 10 years. But we got to stop planning somewhere, and we got to stop planning correctly. We can't do it off the hip. So those are my remarks. I'll take any questions.
Well, I'll make one comment, Kyle, before I open it up to my committee. I think it's vital we start now when we have somebody at the helm of that police department that knows the police department, and we don't get 10 years down the line of something, we get somebody in that's not familiar with the city and doesn't know the background. History is important. And I feel that you have the history of this city that you can be, the help you can give to this study is immense. So I'm looking forward to getting it underway. Maybe I'm being a little selfish, but I think we have you as chief in the police department that has a background to help this go forward. And we definitely have an insight on the city. You have history. History is important.
Thank you.
So, yes, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Chief Agnew, for coming in and advocating for this. It sounds incredibly important, and I'm supportive of it. The one thing I would ask is when evaluating potential synergy and cost savings between police and fire, I'd love to understand more if there's some savings in having a joint dispatch or 911.
That would be part of it.
Okay.
So I envision this study, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's
I envision the study to be all encompassing, meaning that police, fire, dispatch, community room, training room, regional lockup. There is no Bristol County Northern lockup. All the police departments have to deliver their prisoners down to Dartmouth. That's time consuming. I believe it's up around $100 a day for a prisoner. That's perhaps some revenue that the city could earn by housing the prisoners and maybe working a co-op opportunity with the sheriff's department to run our jail system up here. That could be part of this feasibility study. We don't know what we don't know right now. So yes, I like the way you're thinking because a dispatch, regional dispatch, combined police fire dispatch is important. And right now, we don't have a community room in the city. If we want to hold a community event or allow a civic organization such as Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, we have to either use a school, a private facility. We don't have a community room. In a city this size, that's shameful.
Yes, sir.
Chief, thanks. This is really helpful. I'm really intrigued by the prospect of the Council on Aging being incorporated, kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You talked about throwing good money after bad, and that's something that we've seen across the city, and just because it's an aging city, it's going to happen. My question, and if you don't have it with you, I don't want to put you on the spot. Can you ballpark how much money has been spent on repairing that building, even over the last 3 years? And I'm thinking the roof, the cell blocks. I'm just trying to go off memory.
I put funding requests into the city council for new toilets that were suicide risk. The prisoners were breaking out of the cell block because they were pushing on the doors and they were opening. We found prisoners walking around the cell block. True story. We had to buy all new cell doors. The elevator, the front steps are imploding. If we get those fixed, they have to be ADA compliant. That's going to be over $200,000 perhaps. The building is not wheelchair handicap accessible to the lobby. If you come to the police station and you're in a wheelchair, you have to go to the back of the parking lot and press a button, and we'll bring you to the station that way, up to the elevator. If you're a handicapped person, you have to go to the cell block where the prisoners are housed in order to get into the police station. You cannot get into the lobby if you're in a wheelchair. The steps have to be replaced. I put a funding request in to fix the roof. The roof is leaking. We run and look for buckets when it rains. Matter of fact, it's leaking on light fixtures and computers. I would open up an invitation to every city councilor to come walk through the police department. We try to do the best with what we have to work with, and we try to keep it sanitary and clean. But no pun intended, lipstick on a pig is still a pig.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important, and that's why I asked, because I think the public needs to understand how much money we have spent on repairs, and literally reminds me of the movie Money Pit, just throwing good money after bad.
We have, and we will continue until a new building is finally constructed. We are throwing good money after bad.
And Chairperson Blair, I know that there is concern and sticker shock with what the cost of this is, but think about it this way. We spent $25,000 on a feasibility study for sidewalks
Sidewalk.
on Reed Street.
You're absolutely right.
So if I can, another question, Chief, is this gonna, in your estimation, is this gonna walk you through how law enforcement has changed over the last several years? How, I remember my first year on the council, our biggest concern was the radios.
Mhm.
Now we're talking about SWAT gear and tactical gear.
Mhm.
Do you suspect that this survey is going to continue to focus on how law enforcement is changing, what the needs are?
Absolutely. Technological, space needs, storage, supply, office space. We have positions that we, in the police department, that we didn't dream of 30 years ago, even 10 years ago. Whoever thought we'd have a pop unit and how successful that was. I mean, it's dynamic, it's constantly changing, but this study through this architectural firm that would probably handle the RFPs once it's put out as they apply what I've been reading online about these feasibility studies. It's all encompassing into those areas also.
Sure. And then it would help also with staffing levels and different types of staff, right? Because you have
Absolutely.
different sorts of officers, from detectives to homicide to, it'll walk you kind of through what you need in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And future growth.
Mhm.
Like I said before, we don't know what we don't know right now, so
Sure.
they have to make a projection. So
If I may, one more, not even a question, more of a
go
comment,
ahead.
but when you took over as chief, what, 2011, 2012, city was at about 36, 37,000 people. Now it's up to almost 46,000.
Mhm.
So it's grown about 1,000 people a year almost.
and the calls of service are obviously going up too. So and we're being stretched in every different way.
Mhm.
Our staffing level has not kept up to the demand of police resources in the city. And I'll give kudos to the mayor, the city council, providing us staffing to create that traffic unit. They're out there every day addressing these traffic complaints left and right. So I appreciate that. So, and that was probably the biggest jump we've grown in years in this police department. We just haven't kept up with the staffing, and I understand the budget's a pie. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. And, but the study would estimate what staffing would look like in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
So this, if I might, this firm that's hopefully looks at this, staffing will be a big part of it.
Has to be, because you got to think about parking. The biggest issue, right? One of the biggest issues right now, we have very limited parking. So at shift change, you potentially could have 30 or 35 vehicles looking for parking spaces. If we, I was just thinking about if I had land, I could charge cars. I guess the best business right now in Boston is to have a parking garage.
Yeah.
Lucrative, but parking's a big issue. So staffing is definitely directly attributed to the parking issue. So same thing with lockers. We're hiring an additional 11 officers. I put the funding request in here to backfill those 11 offices for the vacancies. Right now, there potentially could be 4 more females coming on to the police department. We don't have any more lockers. Where am I going to put these females? This is disparate treatment.
Yeah.
I haven't figured that out yet. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have
Yeah.
because your female population is growing within the department. But when they built the station back in '85, I think they put in 4 lockers. It's either 4 or 5 female lockers. That's also a problem that we're going to be probably in the month of January. We got to figure out what we're going to do.
Yes, Jay.
Again, a couple follow-ups. You brought up some other, so what role, if any, will the crime analyst play into the feasibility study? Will he?
I don't think that's a subject. He could give the data and the information
Yeah.
that the firm may need for call.
Yeah,
Historical data and maybe some future projections based upon that data, but him playing a key role in it, I can't see.
sure.
That's not his subject matter expertise of an area, But the information that the architect or whatever the firm is called that performs the study would need that information,
Yep.
obviously, to make the projection.
Which again, great hire and great add-on to the staff. Last, you talked about the traffic unit. Will this incorporate any sort of traffic studies, kind of look at the speeding across the city, or is it strictly the facility?
I think it's a site parcel land
Mhm.
building, depending on where it could go.
Yep.
Response signs for the fire department, which I won't take away the chief's thunder on that. Depending on where it could go, perhaps you can consolidate other fire departments in the city or what have you, but most cities and towns like their police departments downtown.
Sure.
Our town's very urban, very congested. The ideal location for a police and fire, I think, in this city is Ides Hill,
Mhm.
up on Commerce Way. It's center city. You can respond east, west, north, and south in a reasonable time. But
I was going to mention that because there is some open space up there. I know we don't own it, but there is some open space up there.
I'd leave that question to Jack Jacoby. You could speak more to that point, but I mean, I'm just on like hypothetical pointing.
Well, that's going
City
to be a big factor in
Absolutely.
this search is where we put it to adequately serve the people and the response time.
Mhm.
And I guess the response time isn't as crucial if you got enough guys out there in the, in the field from the main station, but it's something to look at. And I don't think we got that much city land available that we could put something on. So we're going to have to look deep. Any questions from the council or?
Peter, may I?
Yes, I see. Yes, go ahead.
May I? Thank you. Kyle, Chief, I like the way you think. And although I appreciate your comments that there's no good time for this kind of expenditure, I think now is absolutely a great time in light of everything that we're going through and have been through. I think it's a good time to be thinking forward about what public safety is going to look like in this city, because to me, it's not just about space. This is also a message to our residents and the community about how we envision a safer community that is safe and supportive to all. So I think it's a much bigger public safety and social message. And I respectfully suggest to you in the administration that when you're doing this feasibility study, think big. I'm thinking social services, a space for counselors in your facilities, and being very, very progressive to take advantage of this opportunity. But I'd also encourage and ask that you consider having our community groups or holding sessions with members of the community for their feedback about what their public safety facility should be, what it should encompass, because it's not just a place for staff and equipment. It's a community space and it sends a lot of messages. So I'm excited to get this going, Chief. I support your efforts and very much appreciate everything you say. But I guess what I'm saying, Chief, is let's go big, let's think big. And I hope the administration is of the same mindset, because this is a special time in the country and in our community. And I think we should seize it. So thank you very much for coming in, Chief.
Well, we can't do anything without getting this feasibility study going. So.
Right. And to the council's point, there are focus groups within feasibility studies, the input from the community, especially the ones I read that were performed and conducted out throughout Massachusetts. That was an aspect of it. So,
And Kyle, I'm sure you speaking with, this isn't an overnight deal.
Oh,
This,
no. Like I
this
said,
is stretched out, this study.
if I have my math correct on my retirement, I won't be here. Hopefully I'll be in Costa Rica. That's what I'm looking to do. True story.
Okay. Thank you. Ty?
Thank you.
Ty, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I totally agree with you, Chief. This is absolutely essential. And I think we can't start planning it soon enough. One thing that I believe Councilor DeSimone was getting at that I agree with is this is also an opportunity to put in that community meeting space. I've seen them do that in Foxborough, which has been very helpful to that town. And I can't imagine. Well, I think we just need to do an overall envisioning of where we're going to be sooner than 10 years. This is important as quickly as we can get at it. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Yes, you're up. Go ahead, Kate.
Kate,
Can't
you're
hear you
muted.
either.
Thank you. I've been saying that to everybody else tonight. Chief Hagney, thank you. I was so happy to hear you just mention the Council on Aging. That's a brilliant idea, like thinking of all three of them put together, because I know they've been wanting to transition into a new place and we haven't been able to help them with that. So that's a great idea. And thank you for sharing that with us. Council Blair, I do have a question for you.
Certainly.
Okay, so within this motion that we have, do we have to somehow amend it, or what do we need to do to
No,
add?
we don't. I don't think we have to amend it. All we're looking for in the next couple of meetings is start the process to start this study. I don't think there's any amendment
Okay.
going.
Beautiful.
We're going to have plenty of time to look at this, Kate. This isn't going to be done tomorrow, next week. It won't be finished by the end of next year, probably. You know, we're not going to get reports back till.
I understand all that. Yes, and it's cool that we're going to finally get started with something that,
I think this is the start. You can't finish anything if we don't start. And I think this is just the start.
I understand. Thank you, Chief Hagney.
Thank you. Laura?
Thanks, Peter. So I think probably every counselor has been through the police station and the fire stations for that matter. And I'll tell you, the most mortifying part of the police station, and I'm sure I'm going to call the area something that's not correct, but there's an area that you have for victim statements, I believe, or something to that effect. And it's like a table with a chair in a corner in a hallway. I think that's what I took away from that tour that I got, that I couldn't stop thinking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but that was mortifying. And victims deserve better than that. And we need to show that they deserve better than that. They don't need people walking by when they're giving statements. And you know, like Council DeSimone says, this says a lot about our community and how we feel about our community. And I supported this last go around, and I'll support it again this go around. Thank you.
You brought up two great points. One, the domestic violence advocate, her desk is in the hallway. She interviews victims in the hallway. People walk by to and fro the bathroom. That's problematic. Number two, the interview room off the lobby, where victims of crimes come in with very extremely sensitive stories. Everything can be heard by anybody standing in the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear everything that goes on in that room.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried music, piping in white noise, and it's just one of those old buildings that the acoustics are horrible. So those are two excellent points that I failed to mention earlier that are troubling.
I know we have a lot of problems over there, but like I just said, we've got to get started in order to cure some of these problems. So this is a start. I think there's ample money. I think Jeremy can speak to that, available now to do this study. We put it off. All I see is financing. If we put it off long enough, Jeremy's going to be sending down saying, we got to bond this, so we got to do this. And the money's sitting there. Let's use it for the right thing. And I think this is one of the right things to do personally, myself in the city. Any other questions for Chief Hagney from anybody? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good luck on your promotion to fire chief. Good luck on your promotion to fire chief.
So,
Thank you, Chief, for the
thank
chance
you.
for coming.
Good evening.
tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak a little bit about the potential for a needs assessment and the feasibility study. I'm not going to reiterate everything Chief Hegney said. Obviously, everything he said I'm in agreement with. It all makes sense. So I'm going to kind of limit my comments to things that are specific to the fire side,
Please.
and it may deviate a little bit from some of what he was talking about. I think one of the first things we need to understand is why the timing is critical. Because I don't view this as an opportunity for a new public safety complex as much as it is an opportunity to get an independent professional company to come in and do a needs assessment, because that's the first step. The feasibility part of it is basically deciding if it's something the city can afford to do and if you have space for it. The bigger concern, honestly, is what do we need to be looking at? So when you look at the fire station as an example, he talks about his police station. Other than the South Attleboro Fire Station, that station is way better than any building that I have. Council on Aging, they want to get rid of, better than any building I have. So headquarters was built in the late 1800s. It's a dump. We just spent $500,000 on the roof. The reason we spent $500,000 on the roof is because I've been asking for a roof for 10 years. It's been in the capital improvements plan. It's been leaking for 10 years, ruined everything in sight. We kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And then we finally got somebody to look at it, all kinds of damage to the roof deck. We also got the roof replaced at Briggs Corner. Between the two roofs, it was over $650,000. Okay, that's good money after bad. Okay, but we couldn't wait any longer because I was having leaks in the fire station at headquarters, causing mildew, ruining radios, landing on trucks. You get a fire engine for $650,000. It's all electronics. The last thing you need is the roof leaking over it. So what I envision is somebody coming in and looking at our buildings, our infrastructure, technology, fiber, our communications network, all of that, and looking at it to say, you know, that's really unacceptable, or that's not effective. I mean, there's things that are in CIP, because it has to look at all the fire stations. This isn't just headquarters. In CIP, I've been putting in CIP for 10 years that we need to make the stations compliant with the laws today for co-ed facilities. Other than South Attleboro, we don't have it. So, I mean, these are lawsuits that are just waiting to happen. These are things that we need to have somebody else come in and say, if you don't address this, this, and that, you're likely to get this, this, and that. Because it's not a question of if anymore, it's really a question of when. I now have, I believe, 4 female firefighters, maybe 5. I have male and female dispatchers. We'll continue to certainly hire, females as they show up on the list. We have headquarters, absolutely no capacity for any type of appropriate co-ed living facility. Briggs Corner, none. Twin Village, none. We can't send female employees to work at South Attleboro because the city got sued for that years ago, right before I became the chief. We lost a suit over that. It's called disparate treatment. You can't do it. So we need to start to have somebody else say, we all need to stop doing these things and what steps we need to take to get there. Part of that is they'll do something, a comprehensive response analysis. So when we look at the fire department, it's different than the police. The police are already out on the streets. The fire department is dispatched from the buildings. So fire stations are located for specific reasons when they build them. The problem is all our fire stations were built the same time most of the surrounding communities were. And a lot of the departments had call departments. They weren't necessarily staffed. So what you really need to have somebody look at is what the nature of our calls are, where we're going. We have NFPA standards that we have to follow. So we need to get at certain types of calls within a certain period of time, medical calls, 4 to 6 minutes. We have to have advanced life support on scene in 6 minutes, structure fires, 6 to 8 minutes. We're supposed to be able to have a full complement of firefighters, up to 15 firefighters within the 6 to 8 minute window. There's multiple ways of having that happen. So, the police chief had mentioned a little bit about the possibility of consolidating stations, which I'm an advocate for if it improves service. I don't believe you consolidate stations just to save money, because we're already kind of challenged with the services we provide. But somebody may come in that looks at all of this data and say, hey, well, a joint public safety complex is important, but depending on where we put that, they also have to say, well, you put a public safety complex, say at Ides Hill. Well, now maybe our response to certain parts of the city is too long now. And that affects ISO ratings for insurance. It affects a whole lot of things, not to just mention public safety. So you have to look at all of that. So that's one of the first things they're going to look at. So the study is going to be tremendously comprehensive. I envision it taking honestly months and months and months just to even start to analyze and tell us what the problems are, not let alone how we can fix them. Then, the next part, again, just some of the things that Chief Hegney had mentioned. I'm a strong advocate of a joint public safety complex because I think that you can get rid of some repetition, but you can also provide services that benefit both departments and the community. We don't have a public safety mechanic. That's foolish, and it's been like that for 10, 12 years. There's a whole bunch of reasons. I don't have the facility to do it. We don't have the equipment to do it. We don't have the trained people to do it. You can't have one mechanic anymore because there's OSHA and all these other things. So that should be part of it. We should have the complex should have a fully capable repair facility. It should also have a state-of-the-art training facility. We don't really have any place to do fire training, not necessarily a burn building, but a place that we have, multi-story structures that we can drag hose, that we can use smoke machines and simulate that so that the guys can train. That's not something that we really have. It takes a lot of space. We don't have, like the chief said, we don't have a community room. So there are certain things, we have no security, although we did just put a request in for cameras, but we have virtually no security. The list could go on. And anybody that's been to the stations would see that they're too small. Briggs Corner is too small. Twin Village is probably too small, but Briggs Corner station, way too small. That's not going to meet the needs of the community going forward. And obviously headquarters, 1999, when the South Attleboro Fire Station was built, headquarters was supposed to be replaced. So that was on the plan for the city 22 years ago. I have plans at the fire station for what we're going to do back then. The problem is what they were looking at 22 years ago, isn't really enough. In retrospect, and there was a point that one of the councils made about, thinking really big. South Attleboro Fire Station, while it's a great fire station, it certainly served its need. For what we spent and what we could have spent a little bit more, I think that we probably should have made the building a little bit bigger. The parking lot's not big enough. There's not enough office space. So I think it was designed looking at what we do then, as opposed to what we're going to do in 50 years. So our response has increased from 5,500 calls a year to this year we'll do 8,600 calls in the last 6 years. So there's been a tremendous increase in our calls. And our calls take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. They're much longer duration. Sometimes especially if the medical call, they're out of the city. They're in Providence, Rhode Island Hospital for quite a while. So I think that's something else that's going to have to be looked at when they really do look at the details of the study.
I would assume that you'll bring this up with the people that are doing the study about whether you're going to have to still have satellite stations out there.
Yes, absolutely.
I just can't see your response time because your trucks aren't on the road. Chief Hegney's cars are on the road all over the city. But, there's a good possibility you have a central station, but you're still going to be looking at the satellite stations.
Yep. I had thought many years ago when Ponce Hewitt Field was built that I wasn't in a position, my opinion didn't matter then, so it really didn't matter. But that would have been a great opportunity, I think, to really look at combining Briggs Corner and Twin Village. And, the few times I've said that, people get all panic stricken about it's going to take longer to get to this house and that house, when that's true, which is why you have to have somebody to analyze that data, to look at it, because while it may be longer in some ways to get to a house, you may have more resources getting there in a period of time. So it's, as long as it's beneficial, I think it's something you look at. I don't believe that you look at things, just to save a little.
No, I think you can't have tunnel vision with this. You've got to look into the future, and you got to look into your basic needs and Kyle's basic needs, And
the cities. I mean, one of the things that is always a bone of contention. Things like, sheltering and, I'm the emergency management director. That's something that like most municipalities, it's done on a shoestring budget. So you really, you kind of get what you pay for. There's things that could be done differently, but you have to have a facility, you have to have a space to do it. So I'm the chairman of the Greater Attleboro Regional Emergency Planning Committee, which is just a name that means I was late for one of the meetings and they say, congratulations, you're the guy. But I meet with chiefs and emergency management directors all the time. And one of the things that became readily apparent is we don't have space for these things. Other communities, Mansfield is an example. They have a core of volunteers, which certainly volunteers serve a purpose. They can't take the place of professional first responders, but people on CERT teams and other things like that have a benefit, but not if they have no place to go. You can't, there's no facility, there's no place for training, there's no office space, there's no place for equipment. It serves absolutely no purpose. And nothing discourages volunteers more than doing something poorly because you don't have the resources to do it the right way. So I would look at all of those things. And if you have some type of a shelter facility incorporated into a public safety complex, the staff is already there.
Right.
It solves a lot of great problems. I was advocating a little bit when they were looking at the plans to build a new high school. I felt that the city should have looked at putting a public safety complex with the school. I was thinking way outside the block there, but I thought that would have been a unique idea to have a public safety complex in the high school property, because they already have resource officers there and everybody's fear today is active shootings and lots of other things. The timing, it just wasn't going to work. That's one thing you realize in the city is that you have to stop planning now for something that you want to do in a year or 2 or 3. So like Chief Hegney said, I think this is a time to really get the ball rolling and start the study to at least see where we're at and what we need to do and whether we can do it or not. Because if we can't go forward with the big plan, at least we'll have a list of the smaller problems that we'll all be able to look at and say, well, you know what, we can't do this, but they made some good points about that building's not big enough, or that building's not safe, or whatever the case may be.
Well, I'm sure that you're going to be vocal with these gentlemen that come out.
Oh, yeah,
Your
absolutely.
idea.
I will, yeah. I've sat in on a couple of committees with other departments when they did a search, so
Yeah,
I do have some experience with it.
it's really important that we keep up with public safety, and there's no way you can operate out of these buildings. I know that.
Right.
So it's definitely time to get the plan done, get the people in, the experts. And we're fortunate to have you and Kyle, who have the experience to work with these people. We
And we're
don't,
fortunate. It's a good working relationship.
we need
with the
some
two
old blood
departments,
to keep it going. Yes.
I don't have a question, just a real brief comment. You hit on almost everything I wanted to talk about. So, well, basically between you and Chief Hegney, everything. So the staffing was a piece of it. So I appreciate you talking about that. What this is driving home, because Chief Hegney spoke about it as well, is something that we've talked about and throughout this term is the importance of shared services. And I think, the mechanic, I think the public safety repair, maybe a joint trainer. I think there's a lot of value in that. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
You have any questions, Mr. Cole?
I don't. Thank you.
Any of the councilmen? Kate? You're mute, Kate.
Second time tonight. Chief, so would you agree with Chief Hegney about Council on Aging being attached to this whole process? And the reason I really think it sounded really good because, I hear on Scanner all the time. And even today I heard like one of your, I don't know if it was an engine or a rescue had to go into Providence, I think. And then we had Norton come in today to help us because we were gone and blah, blah, blah. But if you have Council on Aging there, and I know you respond to them a lot, it would be an advantage. So if someone had to like run over and just be very close, that I think would be a wonderful thing just to have the 3 companies together, because I know you get a lot of calls. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. As I'm sure that that the fire department works very closely with the Council on Aging anyway.
Yes.
Routinely when we go for calls for, at-risk elderly that maybe don't really need a hospital, our next call or our first call is somebody from the Council on Aging. Whether it's Melissa or, back in the day it was Madeline, but my staff is calling them regularly and vice versa. And one of the benefits that anybody that's been in the city, in city government for any length of time realizes that different departments, I won't say there's animosity because maybe that's too strong of a term, but when you don't work face to face with people regularly, you sometimes forget what everybody else is actually doing and providing. So there's a huge benefit to having office space, shared space where, fire department staff, police department staff, council on aging, and any other, agency that makes sense to work in that environment can share resources and, solve problems together. So I completely support that idea.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other councilman have any questions for our fire chief? Okay, Jeremy, we're gonna put you on the spot.
Thanks, Chief.
Finance for this project.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Blair. Thank you, Municipal Council, for this opportunity tonight. I just wanted to touch on a few pieces that the chiefs had talked about earlier. When we talk about what this study, this needs assessment and feasibility study is going to touch on, it's wide ranging and not yet defined in its total parameters, meaning that we want to look at council on aging, we want to look at additional community space, we want to look on joint maintenance, joint dispatch, all those other efficiencies. I think those are excellent questions to put in our RFP and to have answered by the study. It's not something we can answer right now and say, this is exactly what we want, because part of the question that we're asking here is, what is it that we need? So I appreciate all those comments, and I think those will be helpful in the drafting of our RFP for this feasibility study. I want to touch a little bit on the dollar amount. So as you know, we had a level of free cash certified that we haven't seen in quite some time, and transformational projects like this I think are excellent one-time uses. So when we talk about one-time revenue, which was either one-time revenue as in fund balance, meaning revenue that outpaced our projections because a number of things came in quite a bit higher during fiscal 21 than initially and ongoing projections had it at. And then a number of one-time expenditure savings because of the kind of quirky nature of fiscal 21 and what we did as a city. So I think using those one-time resources for a one-time project like this is absolutely reasonable and appropriate use for our fund balance. I'll also say, I think I alluded to this in my most recent memo, that this would work in conjunction with our capital improvements plan, the Americans with Disabilities Act transition plan, which we recently had written, and then a broader question about the state of city facilities across the city. So City Hall has some structural deficiencies that need to be addressed. You know well about Council on Aging, and as this RFP will be written, I had said in my initial memo that the study may touch upon recommended relocation of other city departments as a way to fit the pieces of this complex and important puzzle together. So the capital and plant needs for other city departments will definitely be rolled into this. We talked to, in terms of how we got the price, we talked to two different architectural firms that have done this before. We read RFPs of other communities, tried to ballpark what we thought was a reasonable number for us compared to smaller and larger communities. So I'm confident our numbers healthy and where it needs to be. I don't know that we'll spend all of it, and we'll come back to you and ask for an additional vote for something else. But I think we have a healthy budget, and I think we have an appropriate budget for this.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeremy from any of the councilors? Yes. Sorry, Jay.
Jeremy, and this might be a better question for Jack, but what's the scope of the feasibility study from how long it'll take?
You want me to address that?
Sure, go ahead, Jack.
Okay. So the process is that Jeremy writes the RFP. We'll make sure that the chiefs have some input in that. I will have some input in that. We'll put that out on the street for a period of time. We will solicit then firms that are interested. We will then have a meeting to go over all of those firms that are interested and try and shortlist it down to 3 or 4 firms. We interview them. We then choose the best firm. It's a quality-based process. It's not a financially based process. So you don't put it out and say, who's the lowest eligible and responsible bidder like you do with construction. You put it out and you choose who you think is absolutely the best firm to do the job. Then you negotiate a price with them. And I am hopeful that the price will be, as Jeremy said, something a little bit less, but we don't want to ask you for 125 and turn out it's 150. Rather ask you for the 200 and have it turn out to be 150, and then we all look a little bit better. So the process is going to probably take us until sometime in the spring before we have somebody ready to go and have a contract signed. Once we have a contract signed, then, as I heard everybody say tonight, and I think it's absolutely vital, it's a lesson we learned from the high school, vision. We need to start with a vision. We need to understand what we do well in public safety and what could be improved in public safety. We need to understand where it's going in the next 75 years, because this will undoubtedly be the last building of this sort that we will build in this century, because that's our history. It's going to last us 75 to 100 years. So we better plan to deal with how policing and firefighting is going to change. We need to plan to make it flexible so that, I don't know what's going to happen 25 years from now. None of us do. The professionals will give us their best judgment, but we still need to make the building flexible enough so that it can change over time as policing and firefighting changes over time. I think that the other factors that you've talked about here, which is to figure out where it's going to go, how big it's going to be. Do we have an appropriate piece of land? Do we need to acquire a piece of land? What will the cost be? I assume that there will be some sort of a debt exclusion associated with building this building. When does that fit into our plans as a city? Certainly if there are other city departments that may be joining, it may increase the political force to get a group. If it's just a public safety building, I believe in that right in and of itself. But if, for instance, the Council on Aging was added, we might have more senior citizens voting for the debt exclusion. So we should always keep the politics in mind. But I think the bottom line here is that we are going to probably take until the spring of 23 to deliver the report to the council as to what our findings are, what we think should be done, when it should be done, how much it's going to cost. And those are the key questions that we need to answer. And as a citizen and a taxpayer, I get disturbed sometimes because we put Band-Aids on things and we put them on after we're already bleeding heavily. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to be proactive, to plan, to not put money, $500,000 into fire station roofs. We just need to figure out what we need, what it will cost, where it will go, and then figure out how to pay for it. Because I think that
You're saying that, if I understand you correctly, you can probably put this out on the street sometime in the spring?
I think we can hire a firm in the spring of this year.
Very good.
Because frankly, Jeremy and I have looked at RFPs for a while.
Okay. That's being proactive.
Yes, and we solicited ones from a couple other communities, and what we like to do is take the best of each and cobble it together to make a good RFP. But I don't see why we couldn't put this out on the street sometime in January, get bids in February, interview in March, have a contract signed in April. Maybe
It's-
I'm aggressive, but that's the timeline that I
Sounds
see.
great to me.
And then take a year to do it right. To
Do it right
start-
the first time.
Absolutely. Start with the vision and turn that vision into
Reality.
drawings and things that we can make a reality. And if this is, 30 million or 40 million or 50 million, I don't know now. I just know that we need to spend this money sooner rather than later. I'll leave it to the council and the mayor to figure out how to get that done. But I know the Municipal Building Commission is anxious to start this process and give the city a plan. I heard you say something a couple of weeks ago about planning to fail and failing to plan
Yep.
and all the rest of that stuff. So I think you are absolutely right, Counselor. And we need to not be spending another $500,000 on fire stations anytime soon.
Right.
And if it turns out that the location of a new central public safety building would change the way we use the satellite stations, it's certainly fair game to look at. And we ought to know the answers to those questions. So
Thanks, Jack. Does any other councilors have any questions? Jack, Kate?
Thank you, Council Blair. Hello, Counselor. How are you? I haven't seen you, Jack Jacoby, in a while.
yes, that's right. I am sometimes referred to in my private day job as a counselor.
I'm going to miss being called
Good to
that.
see you, Kate.
Thank you ever so kindly. So, Jack, just so when we have this engineer, surveyor, whatever, I don't know what the title will be, but that comes
It
out.
would be an architectural firm. Kate.
Okay, thank you ever so kindly. So the architectural person comes out and looks. Can at the same time, can we get his or her opinion? What do we do with our old buildings? Because that's a big, huge problem. I mean, it's not just us in Attleboro, everybody has that problem. But at the same time, can we just kind of say like, hey, what is your recommendation on what to do with this particular building? What kind of office can go in here? Or where do you think that's going? Is that feasible or not?
I think it is. I think there's a couple of parts to that. One is that we ought to have an assessment of the 3 other fire stations beyond the central one. Because we ought to know, if we're keeping them, what does the future hold in terms of major repairs to those buildings? It certainly should be part of our study to know that. And if we are planning to not use one of those buildings again, for instance, where the fire headquarters is, as an example, what do we do with that building? How do we position it? Does it have a value? Is it knock it down and sell the lot? I mean, those are good questions that we should be asking. We should have a well thought out and comprehensive plan to accomplish what we have described tonight. I've had a number of conversations with the police chief and the fire chief, with Jeremy, with the mayor, and I think the Municipal Building Commission has a very good understanding of how we want this to progress. And I think that we will invite the chiefs or their designees to attend every one of the meetings that we have, because I can tell you a lot about zoning, but I can't tell you a whole lot about firefighting.
Thank you. And
So,
at the same time, if we actually.
We need to be clear.
Thank you. And I hope at the same time, if we actually just put in the Council on Aging, I'd like to know what their assessment is on that building as well.
Yep. And that building was the central fire station prior to us building the current one in the 1890s. So and we did a rehab on that, and we always think of that as being relatively recent, but that's got to be 30 years ago that we rehabbed that building. And from what I understand, it doesn't do a very good job of meeting the needs of the Council on Aging today. It did 30 years ago, but I'm not so sure that having bingos and meals.
Life
served
goes
in the
on
main
and things
hall is-
change, Jack.
Things change. They certainly do.
Thanks, Jack. If there's no other
Thank you.
questions from the Council.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay, I see the mayor has come aboard. Would you like to say a few words, Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Blaze. So the idea to do this joint public safety complex was actually presented to me back in December of 2017 by Mayor Dumas. He suggested I take this up before I leave my time as mayor. And it's something I've talked about for the last 4 years. And as all of you know, I'm going into my final term. So I'm glad there's an appetite to do this. The needs for this have already been explained, so I wanted to talk a little bit more of the administrative mechanics of this. You know, the two chiefs have talked about why we need this, and you know they're absolutely right, and this is the way to go. It's we don't need to rehash all that. The one thing I want to mention though is the combining this with a council on aging. I think conceptually it makes a lot of sense, but I don't think the timeline is going to match up. The council on aging. Hopefully, all of you saw the article that was in the newspaper about a week or two ago that talked about the timeline to break ground on a council on aging. That would be about 5 years from now, and a council on aging building probably would cost in the neighborhood of about $10 million. I'm going to start setting aside free cash to put in an account. I've been talking with Deb Gould about this, and Jeremy knows about this as well. So that way we have a down payment on a council on aging, and we wouldn't need to do a debt exclusion for that. We could use existing revenues to pay for that. So we could probably break ground on a COA in maybe about 5 years. For this project, though, quite honestly, we're probably not going to be able to break ground for about 10, maybe even 12 or 13, 14 years. It's going to be a while. The reason it's probably going to take so long is because I personally don't think that citizens in Attleboro could do another debt exclusion for at least about a decade. The debt exclusion and what people are paying right now for the new high school, if we were to put this in the next 5 years on top of that, I just don't think it's going to pass. I really, I just knocked on 10,000 doors, and that was one of the biggest issues, especially from senior citizens and people on fixed incomes, was how much they are hurting because taxes are going up, and taxes are going up largely right now because of the new high school. Now, it's true that right now, the biggest we're this year, next year, maybe last year, we're getting hit with the biggest hike in taxes, over the 36 years we're going to be paying these back. So the growth is going to slow, but the growth it's still pretty substantial year after year, and it will be for the next 5 or so, maybe 10 years. And then it's really going to taper off where it would be a lot more feasible to do another debt exclusion. But, if we look at the trajectory and this was something we talked about back in 2018, I just don't see the timing of a debt exclusion for this type of project for at least another 10 years. Now, I completely support doing a joint public safety complex, and it's something that, we can probably pay for a couple different ways, maybe using bonding with existing revenues, but also doing a debt exclusion. And we have to start this process somewhere. Like I said, Mayor Dumas wanted to do this. He never did, and he gave the idea to me, and, now we're talking about it. The groundbreaking won't happen under my tenure as mayor. It'll probably be another mayor or the mayor after that. But based on the little bit of research I've done, for the size of a joint public safety complex we would need here in Attleboro, it would probably be in the $75 million range, maybe between 50 at the low end up to about 75 million. So it would be a substantial amount of money, and that's a large debt exclusion. So I just want to make sure we, temper our expectations, and, just as far as the timeline, like I said, we can break ground on a COA, a council on aging, in probably about between 4 and 5 years. But a joint public safety, I would see that probably closer to a decade away. So having said that, I think most of the other important points have been addressed by Jack, by Jeremy, by Scott, by Kyle. And if there's anything else you wanted to ask me, I'm happy to answer.
Just, I think it's the right time because the money's there to do this. And if the plan's done right, it's going to last a few years before we really get the ball rolling. But I think if we don't start it, it'll never get done.
Yeah, we definitely have to start. We should have started it a long time ago. I mean, Mayor Dumas wanted to start it, but he had a lot of projects going on and it just never happened. And, I wanted to start it for the last 4 years. It took me 4 years to get around to it. So you're absolutely right. We have to start this project, now. And even if it takes, 10 to 15 years before we break ground, we have to start it. And the sooner we start it, the better off we are. And, now is a good time. We have the money to do a feasibility study. So it's the best time to do this.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much for coming in tonight.
Very good. Thank you, Adam.
Is everybody done with the questions for these gentlemen? Okay, thank you very much, folks, for being here tonight. Appreciate it. I hope we've made some progress and that we've got it in an area where I intend to bring it out tonight. I'll bring it for a vote and we'll bring it out the 21st for a vote of the full council.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Counselor.
All right.
And
Thank you, councilors.
I'll talk to Jeremy tomorrow about cranking up the RFP.
Put a little coal on the fire. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, councilors.
Okay, let me read that in as a motion and we vote on it. From the docket of December 7th, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $200,000 from account 1-000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3560 public safety assessment feasibility.
Second.
We all set, ready for a vote? All in favor? Aye. Passes 3-1. Thank you, gentlemen.
3-0.
3-0.
I'll read in my other three motions and,
I just point of order, it passed 3-0, not 3-1.
excuse me?
The last vote passed 3-0, not 3-1.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I got you.
Thanks.
I'm taking your
Did I
minutes.
say 3-1?
You did, but it's all right.
See, you got somebody taking notes. I don't. See?
I'm doing it for you, buddy.
Thank you. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $68,354.22 to cover the cost of filling 11 vacancies in the police department from account 1124100-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to the following: $40,700 to account 1210100-532012 police academy tuition, $11,000 to account 12100-558310 police uniforms, $14,815.57 to account 1210100-530104 police medical consultations, and $1,838.65 to account 12100-558208 police supplies.
Second.
We talked about this a little bit before, mentioning we've had a couple guys not make it through the academy and not even start, and how expensive it was. This ask would be down like $27,000 if those two gentlemen had
Right.
continued. So it's a lot of money, but we've got to keep up with the personnel over there.
Well, it's a demand. It's what we need, you
Yes,
know? And you're looking at it, it's 11 vacancies. We've had how many retirements over the course of COVID alone? So, you know, there's a lot more that goes into it.
over COVID, you know, and you can't blame these guys. They're getting near that time or they're
Yep.
up to that time. And you know, they're thinking twice about working the extra 2 or 3 years after retirement. and
Right.
whatnot, So, any other questions from any other counselors? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $32,100.89 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance, free cash general government to account 12201-000-511000 fire salaries and wages to make an earned time payment to an employee who has retired.
Second.
My only comment to that is we know it's contractual, so
Yep.
it's a do thing. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. I'll ask for an adjournment at
Second.
7:41. Second, Mr. Cobus. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. I know it was a little long on a committee meeting, but I think we got a lot of knowledge and a lot of information out of these people who were here tonight. So, thank you.
Council Waterman, you're up.
Thank you very much. I would like to call the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee to order at 7:42. And I would like to, first, we're going to have approximately, hopefully, 4 people that we're going to be meeting with who are being nominated for positions. And I will begin with, from the docket of December 21st, 2021. I'll put out the motion first. And I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Jessica Lee Jones, 708 Newport Avenue, to fill an expired term on the Disability Commission, term to expire February of 2024. Is Jessica online?
Need a
Yes,
second.
here.
Second.
Thank you. It is seconded. Jessica, if you could show your face and we can talk with you. I see your name up there. Thank you. How are you tonight?
Doing all right. Yourself?
I am fine, thank you. So we have a committee, Sarah Reynolds, Peter Blair, and myself, called counselors that we would like to meet with you, and maybe some other members of the council are watching as we speak. So I know you have an interest in being on the Disability Commission. Could you share your address, your full name, your address, and how long you've lived in Attleboro first?
Sure. My name is Jessica Lee Jones, 708 Newport Avenue, Attleboro, Massachusetts. And I've lived in Attleboro for 12 years now, California native. Was there something else you'd ask for there?
Well, I was hoping you could share with us the reasons why you are personally interested in the Disability Commission and some of your background that would lead for that.
Sure. When I was in California still, I worked for a little kind of mom and pop type electronics store, and the proprietor there was himself disabled, and I worked with him in making sure the store not only met the letter of the law for ADA guidelines, but also the spirit, and made sure the store was fully accessible. It's the sort of store that attracted an audience of largely older and disabled people. And so that was very important to him that he was able to service all the clientele. And so I helped him with that. Since moving out here, my partner is disabled, as is her brother, and I have helped them maintain their independence and make sure that they can meet their own needs rather than relying on assistance to the extent possible. And my partner actually is Leanne Bollier, who is currently on the commission.
Right.
And I have sat in on a good number of meetings at this point and seen the kind of day-to-day operations of the commission, and would like to be a part of that and contribute my expertise.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? And I would also open it up to any other counselors if they have something they would like to share. Councilor DeSimone, I see your hand.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. Very briefly, Jess, greetings, Kathleen DeSimone. I want to welcome and thank you for volunteering to serve on the Disability Commission. It's good work that they do, and I'm happy to have you on board. So thank you.
Thank you. And actually, I need to get in touch with you about a issue for a ordinance, but I have yet to be able to get your email address, so I will work on getting that, and I will shoot you an email.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other counselors? Seeing none. We appreciate your appearance, and while you're here, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Peter, are you with us?
I was out of the room, Ty, so you got two, that's enough.
Okay, we do. The vote passes 2-0. And we will forward your name to the entire council next week, Jessica. And then should that pass, and I hope it will, you will be meeting with the clerk sometime after that to be sworn in.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all.
Have a nice evening.
All right, you too.
Okay. Now, the next person that we're going to meet with is Jacqueline De Silva on with us this evening.
Yep, coming into the meeting.
Thank you very much. See your name, Jacqueline? Hopefully we can see your face in a minute. Can you hear me, Jackie?
Ty, just remind her that maybe she needs to unmute.
Yes, you might be muted. Jackie, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll see your face in a second. But let me begin.
There I am. Oh.
There you are. Great, great.
Hi.
It's never easy with Zoom.
No.
Well, thank you very much for coming before us this evening. Jackie is interested in filling an expiring term on the Board of Election Commissioners. And I think, Mel, this time we'll just chat with you for a minute before I make the motion. So you like to be called Jackie, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Can you share your name, your address, how long you've lived in Attleboro, and then why you are interested in being a commissioner? We'll begin with that.
Okay, sure. I'm Jacqueline De Silva. I live at 32 Dexter Street in Attleboro. I am seeking the Democratic seat for the Election Commission. I've been a resident of Attleboro all my life. I've worked in the Attleboro School Department for 37 years as a paraprofessional. I've been on the Cultural Council for 2 terms. The past 6 years, I've been working for the elections 3 years as an inspector, and 3 years as a secretary. I find the elections very interesting, and working with George Spatcher, Hank Riley, and Michael Murphy, I know we will make a great team.
I know that they're interested in having you. So does any other counselor on the committee first have a question? Sarah or Peter, any questions? Okay, I see Councilor Jackson. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Council Waterman. Jackie, hi.
Hi.
Hey, sold.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see you here at all. I'm so not. When we heard your name in the mayor's communication, I was like, of course she would. Of course she would. So,
Of course I will. Yeah.
yes, I'm glad. I'm happy to see you jump on board and stay on board with us like for a long, long time. And thank you for volunteering all these years.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, Council Waterman.
You're welcome. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Council Waterman. Jackie, good evening. My name's Kathleen DeSimone, and I want to thank you and welcome you to service on the Election Commission. I think it's super important role to be on the commission and in the elections office, particularly now. And it's something that's been on my mind of late, so perhaps we might be talking after your appointment about some things. So welcome, congratulations, Jackie. I look forward to your service.
Well, thank you.
Do you have any questions for us, Jackie?
No, none.
None?
No.
What would you say is the biggest challenge to being an elections commissioner?
Keeping everyone happy, especially the voters when there's issues.
And sometimes those issues are where they're actually voting.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that you'll do a wonderful job. And if there are no more questions, I'm actually going to make the motion now. You may stay on. So, like the police chief, I also need my glasses. From the docket of December 7th, 2021, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Jacqueline De Silva, 32 Dexter Street, to fill an expired term on the Board of Election Commissioners, term to expire February 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Are there any further questions? Not seeing any, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sounds like 3 people. The vote passes 3-0, Jackie. Thank you. We will be, you're welcome. We'll be forwarding this nomination to the entire council for next week for a vote of the entire council. And sometime after that, should that pass, then you can go down to the clerk's office to be sworn in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a nice evening.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Okay. Now I would ask if Peter Connolly is on the line.
He's coming into the meeting.
Thank you very much. Good job, Jim.
Hello.
You showed up quick, Peter. Thank you. Peter is interested in joining the Traffic Study Commission. And is, Peter, if you would be willing to just share your name, your address, how long you lived in Attleboro, and why you're interested in the Traffic Study Commission.
Sure. My name is Peter Conley. I've been living in Attleboro since about 2003. Live on 27 Rambler Road. I'm interested in the Traffic Study Commission. At work, I deal with a lot of data analytics, data science. Most of that is mobility data, so it's mobile device data. So a lot of my day is spent looking at traffic going, everywhere, to cities, from cities, dwelling in place. So I was looking really primarily to help out the city in some way because I've received services from the city for 20 years, and I'm looking to give back a little bit. And I thought this was a great fit for me because it's something I'm familiar with. So I thought I would be able to apply some of my skills to it.
I'm sure you've got a lot of skills. Are there any questions from the committee first or from the council second? Anybody who would like? And Kathleen?
Yes, Councilwoman, thank you again. I've got to say something about Peter as current chair of the Traffic and Transportation Committee and a member of the Traffic Study Commission. Peter, thank you so much. Peter has joined a couple of the meetings of late to observe, and I think he's going to be a fantastic member of the Traffic Study Commission. Peter, I want to thank you very much for bringing your talents and your interest to the group. As you have seen, there's a lot of traffic and speeding issues in the city, and I think your voice and your observations are going to be really important to get to resolving some of these issues. So thanks for volunteering, Peter.
Thank you.
Peter, what would you say are, and I will be with you in a second, Councillor Jackson, what would you say are the maybe two biggest challenges that you would anticipate with the Traffic Study Commission?
I'm going to quote, was it Jacqueline before me? Keeping everyone happy. I think is going to be problem number one. And then I think for me in particular, I'm a data person and I can't do anything without data. So I think the one thing I'm going to run into is probably just not enough information. What's the latitude and longitude of all the potholes in the city versus all the complaints and that type of thing. Like it's probably just not available is probably going to be my problem.
Well, maybe you'll help it become more available. Councillor Jackson, you're muted, I believe.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Hey, so it's nice to meet you. Are you Carol's husband?
Yep.
Oh, nice. I've met her several times and she served with me on the Highland Country Club committee.
Yep,
Yes.
that's her.
And I've met your children at Jack and Jill School too as well. So good luck and thank you for volunteering. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Any other thoughts, questions? I want to point out that in your letter, I was fascinated that you said that some of your relevant work in the past involved traffic patterns of evacuation routes during natural disasters. I thought that was very thoughtful. And you also mentioned one that we chatted about. And I'll ask you if you could comment on this for a second before we say goodnight. Investigating socioeconomic patterns as it relates to the daily commute.
Sure. So we were asked at work to look at commuting patterns. I think it was into Washington, D.C. in this case, and just looking at the different demographics around that commute to see is it high income people commuting into the city? Is it different education levels? Is it different races? Like who's coming into the city every day versus who's dwelling in the city? And trying to analyze that gap and see if there's anything that can be done to, like I don't know all the usages for it, but produce a report around this so that governments might be able to utilize that data to help serve the community better.
That's interesting. Thank you. At this point, if there are no other questions, I will make my motion. From the docket of December 7th, 2021, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Peter Connolly, 27 Rambler Road, to fill an expired term on the Traffic Study Commission. Term to expire February 2024. Do I have a second? Thank you. Are there any other questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I think you got a unanimous vote, 3-0. And we'll pass you along now to the entire council next week. Should that pass at council, which I'm hopeful, then you would go to the clerk's office to be sworn in after that.
Thank you.
So you have a good night, Peter. Thank you very much. Glad to have you. We have one more person that we're going to be meeting with. On the first page here, we have a lot of motions. Is Bill Beardwood among us? I see your name down below. Bill, can you come on with us? Can we see your face?
Ty, remind him he's muted.
Bill, you might be muted.
Okay.
I think I'm here.
You are here.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for coming before us. Bill is interested in joining the planning board, an unexpired term. And so I would ask you to share your name again and your address and how long you've lived in Attleboro and why you are interested in being on the planning board. Thank you.
Sure. My name is Bill Beardwood. I live at 31 Leewood Lane. One of the biggest reasons I've been here, skipping over. I've been here 21 years, almost 22. I love Attleboro. The reason I want to be on the board is I want to make Attleboro better. I'm a resident. I just think I can do something for Attleboro to make it better. And this is the committee that seems like I fit the best on.
And what would you what makes you feel that this would be the best committee for yourself?
Well, I think I can come with a good balance with retaining beauty and the environment. I think that I have a vision that both of those things would go together and it would help out future developments, especially trying to always keep the eye of the Attleboro resident in mind.
Okay. I'm going to open up to first to the committee. Are there any questions for Bill? Peter or Sarah, perhaps? Peter, Councilor Blair,
Hi, Bill.
your turn.
Hi, Bill. Glad to see you here this evening. Just a quick one, and it's nothing personal because I ask everybody that goes on the planning board.
Okay.
What is your thoughts on residential development?
Well, like I was saying, I think we need development, but I also think that we have to do it in a very tasteful way. We got to think of our neighbors as well when we come up with these plans and let developers go at it, if you will. It's done tastefully. We're not ripping down trees and making it barren and sticking houses on it and just making a mess. We need to keep some trees. We need to think of the environment. Because as an Attleboro resident, a home is very important to me. And I think it's important to everybody that's listening. We want a little privacy, and we got to keep that in mind when we let developers build houses.
So if I'm hearing you correct, the environment is very important.
Yes.
In a development.
Absolutely.
Is it extremely important to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask is there anything that you mean specifically when you use the word environment?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. It's the trees, it's wetlands, everything's got to be protected. We have animals out there that thrive on all that stuff, and we got to make sure we're not invading their home as well. You know, we got to protect a little of that. We can't have bad things going into the water and end up deep in the ground. There's a lot of things that come to mind.
Are there any other questions from the committee first? Okay, Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Council Waterman. Bill, my name is Kathleen DeSwan. I want to thank you for your willingness to serve on the planning board. It's a really important body in the city for many reasons. And I appreciate your concerns about the environment. Of course, they do operate under a system of rules and regulations that have to be applied to every project, and they have to be applied fairly. So at the end of the day, would you be able to apply the applicable policies and ordinances fairly to developers and whomever comes before your body?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody deserves a fair shake.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. I wish you well and good luck in your service on the planning board.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions amongst the council? I can't see everybody's face, so speak up. Okay. Is there anything else, Bill, that you would like to share with us at this point before we hold a vote of the committee?
No, I think that's it. I think you got a good look what I represent.
Okay. Appreciate it. I'm going to make a motion now. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Bill Beardwood, 31 Leawood Lane, to fill an unexpired term on the planning board, term to expire February of 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I hear, Peter, I didn't hear you or vote one way or the other. Did you have a vote?
I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Okay, thank you. All right, so 2 in favor and 1 abstention. The vote passes. And we will meet as an entire council next week, Bill. And should that pass in council, then you would go to the city clerk after next week and get sworn in. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And you have a wonderful Christmas.
Yep, you too. And thank you, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye. That concludes the number of people that we're going to be meeting. However, we do have a number of other motions this evening. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to confirm the following reappointments. Eileen and Ron Straminsky, Council on Substance Abuse Prevention, to a 3-year term expiring February 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Eileen and Ron have been with us on the council substance abuse prevention, I believe, for a full 3-year term, and this is a second term that they are seeking. Is there any conversation? Anybody want to say anything in the committee? And we also have Councilor Jackson speaking. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. Who cannot say something nice about the Straminsky family? I mean, Ron and Eileen, they've been involved, especially in Attleboro politics, for a long, long time. I don't know how long, but I know as long as I've been involved, and it's not been as long as they've been involved. But we're very fortunate to have people like them that have stayed involved with everything that's going on in the community. And we're grateful. And here they are, still volunteering for any type of committee that they want to get involved with. And it's so nice to hear that it's a couple that's involved in it, so they can share their own views together. And, we're just very fortunate to have them. They're just a wonderful family all together. And I give them a lot of high praises.
Totally agreed. I don't think they're watching tonight because they're watching their grandson play for Attleboro High in Easton tonight, opening night. But I'm sure they're appreciative of your comments. Councilor DeSimone.
Yes, to Vice President Jackson, I say hear, hear. Fully agree, and everything she just said. They're wonderful people. Glad to have them serving and volunteering in the city.
Absolutely. So with that, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes 3-0. We also have a request from Stephen Lemay, who is interested in becoming, I have to find his name, I got 2 pages here, a constable. He's not able to be with us this evening, but I did talk to him last night. Let me say a few words about Stephen. He lives on Pentecostal Way in Attleboro for the past 25 years. He said he was appointed to the Attleboro Auxiliary Police Unit in 2016. He graduated from the Reserve Officer Police Academy, and he was an Attleboro Auxiliary Special Police Officer until July 1st of 2021. And he wants to continue his association with what he calls a fine city and do what he can to make Attleboro a better city for all of us to live in. And he would appreciate being appointed as a constable. So with that, I will make the motion from the docket of December 7th, 2021. I entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Stephen Lemay, 33 Pentecostal Way, to fill an unexpired term as a constable, term to expire February 2022. This is from the docket of December 21st, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have any further discussion?
Sorry.
Yes, he was hoping you would say something. Thank you, Councilor Delicio, please.
Yes, thank you, Council Waterman. So I know Steve, I've actually had the opportunity to see Steve work. He spent some time as a security guard in one of the RMVs that I oversee across the state. So I was really happy to see Steve's name come down. I've been able to see him demonstrate rather how he interacts with the public. And I think he'll be a true asset. So thank you for bringing his name forward.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. The vote passes 3-0. And next. Here. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to accept the donation of $300 in Stop and Shop gift cards to the Veteran Services Office from the American Legion Auxiliary 312.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any questions or thoughts? It's a wonderful gift. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None have passed. The vote passes 3-0. Okay. And next, from the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to accept an anonymous donation of $200 in Stop and Shop gift cards to the Veterans Services Office.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any conversation? No? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Vote passes 3-0. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to accept the donation of $600 in food gift cards from the Holiday Spirit Committee to the Veterans Services Office.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any thoughts on this? It's a wonderful gift, I believe. All of them are. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 3-0. And from the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to accept the donation of $825 in food gift cards from the Holiday Spirit Committee to the Health Department Outreach Program.
Second.
Thank you. I want to thank the Holiday Spirit Committee for all the great work that they do, and particularly at this time of the year. Is there any other thoughts? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Vote passes 3-0. So I would ask for a second for Councilor Jackson, did you want to say
Thank
something?
you. Go ahead, do your second first. I just want to bring something to your attention in a minute.
No, you can go ahead now. Sorry.
No, it has nothing to do with this vote, Ty. I just want to talk to you before you adjourn.
Okay. So I would make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, no, don't adjourn yet. I'm sorry. I thought you're still on a motion.
No, I don't. No, I think we've finished all the motions.
Okay, thank you. So on, I just have to go back here in 1 second. So on the appointment, excuse me, of Bill Beerwood of 31 Leewood Lane,
Yes.
a member cannot abstain. They're in your committee. They have to either vote it up or they have to vote it down. There's no in between when you're in committee. So you need to do a withdrawal of the second and do the vote again.
Okay.
All right.
I think I seconded it.
withdraw
I'll
my
withdraw
vote.
it if it was me.
I have Sarah as doing the second. Yes.
So I withdraw the second. So just read it again.
I will. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Bill Beardwood. I stumble over that, 31 Leewood Lane, to fill an unexpired term on the planning board, term to expire February of 2025.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against?
Aye.
3 votes in favor. Vote passes 3-0. Thank you.
2-0.
I thought I heard an aye from Peter.
When you brought it up against, I
2.
voted
2-1.
2-1, Ty.
2-1?
Mhm.
Vote passes 2-1. I misheard that. With that, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Vote passes 3-0. And we'll meet at the next appropriate time and in our committee. Thank you very much.
Kathleen, you're.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. I'd like to call traffic and transportation to order at 8:17. With me at this meeting are Councilors Conti and Reynolds. And Councilors, I'm hoping you will indulge me in a little bit of house cleaning of a couple of matters. In regard to a couple of items that have been resolved or cannot be resolved at this time. From the docket of April 20th, 2021, I entertain a motion to strike the following. A petition from Bourne Avenue residents requesting permanent speed humps on Bourne Avenue.
Second.
All right, I think I heard Councilor Conti. So in light of our new procedure for the installation of permanent speed humps, this is before the administration for consideration of the mayor, DPW, and the police department. And if it comes to fruition, it'll be before this body at some future point in time. So there's really nothing we can do about on it at the moment. So it seems appropriate to strike. Thoughts, comments, concerns? Now pretty straightforward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you both. Passes unanimously. From the docket of January 7th, 2020, I entertain a motion to strike the following: to restrict parking 20 feet on either side of residential entrances and egresses on Commerce Way adjacent to the New England Sports Village.
Second.
Second.
Second, I think I heard Council Reynolds. Thank you. Okay, so this has been around for a while, and there's a couple of things that came up in the traffic study discussion of this item that they struck. The first was that in light of our ongoing situation with the pandemic, events at the Sports Village have been greatly decreased. So parking hasn't been an issue of late. There's been no particular concerns raised. And it was reported by the DPW that the lines that are in existence at this point already actually exceed the 20 feet. So they don't think that there's anything else that can be done at this particular point in time. Pretty much the group's consensus was if we get back to a point where parking resumes as an issue in that area, we can revisit it. But at this point in time, there didn't appear to be anything for any further action that would be appropriate. Comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving right along, from the docket of December 3rd, 2019, request to review the La Salette Shrine holiday traffic issues.
Second.
Thank you, Council Reynolds. All right, so here we are. We're in it again. It happens every year. There's been no particular resolution, proposed resolution. I do have noticed, because I live relatively close by and I pass by there often, they have, La Salette has a police detail on the weekends at busy points in time. And sometimes it's slow, but there's been no suggestion or proposed action that could be taken that would be fair and appropriate to the situation. So I'm inclined to strike it at the moment for simply that there's been nothing worthwhile proposed to resolve it. So I don't know if either one of you have any particular thoughts or concerns on this matter. It's a few weeks a year. It's a lot of good comes out of La Salette. It's a great place. So I unfortunately, I don't see a way around it. I'm impacted sometimes, but it is what it is. So on that note, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Motion passes 3-0. All right. And the last one for the evening, I'm going to move to strike from the docket of November 20th, 2018. I entertain a motion to strike the following: to amend section 10-4.15, operation of heavy commercial vehicles, by adding May Street from Washington Street to Newport Avenue.
Second.
So in my experience, thank you, Councilor Conti, on the Traffic Study Commission, I have learned that obtaining heavy commercial vehicle prohibitions from the Department of Transportation is extremely difficult. And unfortunately, in light of the traffic pattern in that area, it's highly unlikely that that would pass at the state. And a couple of things have changed, of course. We now have sidewalks on May Street. And one of the things that sidewalks are proposed to do, or hopefully do, is slow down traffic over there. And number two, I understand that they're still in consideration for the installation of permanent speed humps. They had temporary ones, I think, a year and a half ago. But designating this as a heavy commercial vehicle prohibition is highly unlikely. So I'm going to move to strike it at this particular time and hope that the sidewalks and possibly the installation of the speed humps will allay some of the residents' concerns, because short of that, it is what it is at this particular point in time. Comments, thoughts, concerns, Councilor Conti.
So Councilor, this May Street discussion has been going on since you were in high school.
Well, thank you for that.
And Councilor Thibodeau before you learned the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And the sidewalks are, you're absolutely right. They're a great addition. And I also think that the other changes that the mayor has in mind at the end of Newport Avenue and May Street will work, because if the ones that are currently there are not there, he's got another plan B, he's got a plan C, he's got a plan D. So I think we're going to eventually see resolution on May Street, but it's not going to be the elimination of commercial vehicles. And that concludes my comments.
Agreed. Thank you, Councilor Conti. And I will say the administration has particularly been very attentive to the residents' concerns in that area. There's been a lot of exchanges that I've been a part of. So thank you for those comments. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. That's all I have at the moment. Is there anything either one of you would care to discuss for the? No?
Just a question. Is our Traffic Study Commission fully staffed now?
So we just have Peter there. We have a member who I believe will be leaving at the end of this month. So we'll have another seat open come January.
So let's advertise then for someone to write a letter to the mayor and state why they would be an asset on the Traffic Study Commission, because we need warm bodies there to have a quorum and to make some decisions on the traffic control in the city.
Agreed. And I will alert the mayor to that seat being open in the very near future. But it is important work, Councilor Conti. And when we can't move things forward, the docket just gets longer and longer. So I appreciate those thoughts. All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:24.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. All right, this meeting is adjourned. See you folks in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
At 8:24, I'll call the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee to order. I have just two motions to bring before you. Sitting on this committee are Councilor Waterman and Councilor Dolan. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to hold a public hearing on January 18th to discuss waiving the building permit fees for the roof replacement for the fire department headquarters and Briggs Street Corner Station. Motion calls for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So this is just for a public hearing. See if the city doesn't have to pay itself to get building permits to replace the roof. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $7,000 from account 112410000-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account number 1454, that's 154-11000-524011, Council on Aging Building Maintenance to replace the master fire alarm box at the senior center.
Second.
Second, Councilor Waterman, thank you. So for those of you who don't know, the fire alarm box is actually a computer that monitors all of the smoke detectors and alarms in the building and is connected by wire to the fire station. So that if a smoke detector goes off in the senior center, someone in the fire station immediately knows exactly where the detector is failing or has been excited, and they instantly go right to the right place. The technology has changed over the years. The fire alarm control box, when it was installed, was perfectly acceptable. However, new technology has mandated new firebox and new fire protection code as well. So the box needs to be replaced, and it's a necessary item. Any questions? Yes, Councilor Waterman.
Is it working now well enough to do what it's supposed to do?
It is working now to prevent a fire. However, it doesn't meet the code, so it needs to be replaced.
Okay, thank you.
And if in future years, if the fire code doesn't change again, it can be removed from this location and reused in another location if the senior center is moved. So any other comments or questions?
No.
Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. I'm just going to ask Jim Jones if Jeremy is hanging out in the wings. Jim, are you there? Jeremy, are you there? I see neither. So expect next meeting, an update on the gym floors, Councilor Waterman. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that. And I will inform Virginia that at our next committee meeting, we will have a guest, and it will be Jeremy Stahl to talk about the gym floors. That's all the business that I have, unless you have any comments to bring before the committee.
No.
I see none, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. Motion's in order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I declare the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee adjourned at 8:28. Thank you.
You're muted, Kate.
All night tonight, that's what I've been doing. I'd like to call the Public Works Committee to order at 8:28. I have several items to bring forward this evening. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $41,991 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1630-1000-584029 recreation outdoor facility improvements to replace aging and worn picnic tables and benches at the South Attleboro Veterans Memorial Park in Ponson Hewitt.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So I met with Mr. Walsh with regards to several of the items that have come down and have been put in my committee. So this first one, he does have aging and deteriorating picnic tables. He had reviewed with Superintendent of Park and Forestry, Derek Corsi, with regards to what he has, because it's the most recent park that's been rebuilt over there at Angel Park. So he wants to replace all of the picnic tables with very similar to what he has. Because the ones that we have now at Ponce and Hewitt and at South Attleboro, you cannot get the same materials, you cannot get the same benches made. So Derek said he's had really good luck with the ones that are at Angel Park. And Dennis has found that there are lots and lots of people that actually use these benches, you know, whether they're exercising, whether they're with families or picnics. But the other ones have actually gotten pretty messy. I was surprised when he told me that Ponce and Hewitt is already 18 years old. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $10,695 from account 1124-1000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1420-1000-585040, public works equipment, to purchase a truck-mounted berming gravel thrower box attachment. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilor Dolan. In speaking with Superintendent Tyler, so this particular machine, I actually, when I got the backup information, actually from Superintendent Tyler, because I didn't know exactly what this machine was. And when I did receive it the other morning, I happened to be in the city council office and Councilor Blair was there and he was reading his notes, going through them. He goes, "What the heck is that thing?" So I showed him a picture of it. So I don't know if you can see this or not. Can you see it at all? I don't know how to do the fancy stuff that Todd does. But what it does is they attach this particular box to one of their trucks that they already have, and they attach it themselves. And it actually throws out all the seed, because when they do like a new street, like Steer Street, or what else they do recently, Wilmar Street, when they did, just did Slater Street, there's parts of it. So when they resurface it, used to be that they used to put the berms in afterwards, and they were just, those berms were destroyed by our plows. Now it's the berm itself is incorporated as all like one sheet, so it doesn't get ruined. But in that interim, they have to tear up a bit of the property. So they want to replace everybody's lawn. So what they've been doing is they've been having, Micah's had been having 3 men go along, and they have buckets of seed, and they walk around and they just throw the grass seed, and someone else is driving the truck. But this would enable them to just actually shoot the seed out, and it would just fall into where it's supposed to fall into. So it saves them a lot of time, saves him a lot of, you know, personnel, and putting them somewhere else. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Council, I have a question.
Oh, please, I'm sorry, Council Conte, I missed that.
So how many miles of roadways do we do a year that this truck would be used for?
Well, that's a good question. It depends on how many different streets that we actually repave and end up, like Reed Street. Think about when we do Reed Street, it depends if we end up doing sidewalks there or not. Think about how long that is. And I'm not sure what we're going to end up doing with that. It's going to save a lot of time. It's going to save a lot of personnel, where you have a machine doing that rather than a person. Put that person, the personnel, somewhere else at another place.
When I was reading the backup material, I thought that it was after they put in the asphalt berm that they had to backfill behind the berm. Is that right? And so does this, you said that this machine shoots out seed. Is it hydro seed or is it just raw seed?
It's seed. I have no idea. I can ask that question, but I can find that out before you vote on it next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $88,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1100-630-584010, continuing appropriate recreation site improvements to construct 3 pickleball courts at Finberg Field. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Counselor DeSimone. So I never knew this. Pickleball is the up and coming sport in the United States of America. It's a #1 sport coming up. So we already have a couple of courts and they're always very, very busy. They have certain teams that are there every morning. You have certain teams that are there at noontime and certain teams that are there in the afternoon. Extremely busy. So Mr. Walsh has come up with an idea to come up with a couple more pickleball courts. And I'm going to try and have you guys visualize Finberg Field. So you have Finberg Field where the tennis courts are. In front of that, there's like a little tree area. There used to be more trees, but there have been benches. It kind of almost looks like you're going to have your ice skating rink there, right? But it's a little area that sinks down, almost looks like you could have a fire pit as well, because the benches are surrounding it. But he doesn't want to disturb those benches. He doesn't want to dig into that land. He just wants to be able to fill in the lower part of it. And that's where he feels that he could put the pickleball courts. They will be well used, as well as the tennis courts that are there all the time. He's going to have somebody come out and assure us that we can actually put them there before we actually do this, but he wants to have everything in place just in case we can do that. Are there any comments or questions? But I have a question. Has anybody played pickleball yet? Because I haven't.
Nope.
Okay. Councilor Khan, you go ahead.
So we have a restriction, APA restriction on the soil. Is this outside of that area?
Well, he believes so, because the restriction is that you can't dig down deep. And because this area is actually sunken already, he feels that they're not even going to have to dig in there. They just have to be able to come put in some sand in there and then lay the groundwork for it, and it'll all fit in.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking that question, because he did explain that to me clearly. Councilor Dolan, please.
Thank you. So, and I also think too, because if we put the asphalt down, like we could put less asphalt if it is in that contaminated area, less asphalt instead of the soil per se.
Well, there's a certain area that we could never put anything in. So this particular area we can put things in, but we can't dig down there. And we'll find out for sure, because you have to have someone come in and actually survey it for him. And if there are any questions and if it gets a little bit too complicated, he's just not going to do it there at all. He'll find
is part of this money going for it to be surveyed to see if we can do it? Because I'm not sure why, I'm just not clear why we're appropriating the money before he knows that we can do it.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's all included. Everything's here, because you have to, before we even touch this is all part of doing anything at all over there.
Okay.
Yep. He's not gonna ask for any other money. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $33,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1100-630-584010 continuing appropriate recreation site improvements to upgrade field lighting at Haywood, Walsh, and Owsley Fields.
Second.
Thank you. So what's going on with all these lights? So back in the spring of 2021, this year, we actually approved a similar project at the South Attleboro's Memorial Park. But now we have a problem. See this right here? Woo. So this is what's going on in all the lighting in those fields right now. They're getting frayed really bad. Whether it's squirrels getting into it, whether it's just shortening out because they're so old, but they definitely need to be replaced as far as lighting over there and taking care of that. Questions or comments? Councilor Conti.
So I just want to inform the council that at Haywood Field, the lighting that was put in there was given to the city of Attleboro through a very sports-minded and wonderful man named Fred Party, God rest his soul. Fred Party got the lights from when they took down the Foxborough Stadium, the old stadium. Fred got the lights and brought them to Attleboro and got the poles set and put the lights up. So what I'm trying to say is that we've gotten lighting at Haywood Field for well over 25 years for free because of Fred Party, God rest his soul. So certainly it's not too much to put $33,000 into the fund to put in the new lighting that's LED and more efficient, and continue being able to use those fields at night. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you very much, Councilor Conti, for mentioning that. That was really sweet. I'd forgotten about that. So thanks for remembering.
He was a dear friend of mine, very close.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Are there any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $10,639 from account 1-000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1630-1000-585040 recreation equipment to purchase a Genie model AWP-30S scissor lift.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So when I was reading the backup to this before I even met with Mr. Walsh, I was kind of picturing it because I'm like, okay, so you got to go change those light bulbs and those big ceilings. So I'm thinking of that platform and that machine that goes up like a scissor. And I was exactly right. That's exactly what this is. So what happens a lot is they have like the kids that will be playing over, maybe they're playing basketball, soccer, maybe soccer. I don't know if they play soccer in there, but volleyball. And sometimes, you're a kid, you want to try and hit the light and they'll hit the light and they break it. Or by accident, most of the time, they'll hit the light and they break it. So a lot of the time at the Bartech Center, they have to wait for someone to, they either have to put up these rickety-rackety ladders and you have to have somebody there to make sure that it's sturdy enough for them to get up high. And they're like 30-foot ceilings to change a light bulb. And you want to make sure it gets changed because you need it for when you're playing. And you want to make sure all the glass is down because you don't want anything to fall, especially because kids are in there all the time. So sometimes they have to wait and sometimes they borrow one from another facility and have to wait for that facility who's not recreation, who might come over and deliver it for them to borrow it for the day, but then they might need it the next day. So this would be very, very good for recreation to have because it does reach up to 30-foot ceilings. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you ever so kindly. I'm just moving right along. From the docket of December 21st. Oops, let me move this one right up. I entertain a motion to appropriate $26,792 from account 1-000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1630100-5855040 recreation equipment to purchase a Toro Sand Pro 3040 infield groomer and edger.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So I do have quotes for the purchase of this Sand Pro groomer and edger. So what this does is it goes in and it edges and grooms the baseball and softball fields, and it aerates that and seeds and turfs. So once kids have been playing and the ground gets hotter once they've been playing around it. So you want to soften it up and clean it up and get it so that the kids don't get hurt once they're sliding. And so this makes it a lot easier for it because the groomer goes right in there and just cleans it all up. And the one right now, the present infield groomer is approximately 25 years old, and they're constantly trying to repair it. Yes, Council Waterman.
I just want to thank Dennis for all the work that his department does for the kids, especially right now for these infields. I mean, I played ball. I played ball in a town that took no care of their infield, and I played high school ball, and you never knew if that ball was going to bounce up and hit you in the face. And our kids really get treated right, and it's also safe for them when we do these kinds of fixing the infields. I'm impressed.
On that, Mr. Waterman, Council Waterman, excuse me, I have heard on several occasions from other officials from other communities how impressed they are with our fields when they come to play at our fields, how well they're kept and they're maintained and how many we have. And people respect them, and it doesn't happen in all communities. So yes, we're very fortunate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $34,627 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1630-1000-585040 recreation equipment to purchase a John Deere 303-8E compact utility tractor with attachments.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So let's see, I want to go back on this one because I knew this had a lot of different things with it. Yes. So originally, when this had been in the CIP, it was just to do the John Deere compact utility tractor. Now it's with attachments. So, and the attachments are going to be a big asset to the recreation department. It has a power rake, ground equipment, and there was one other thing I'm supposed to tell you about. Just give me, there was a lot of things Dennis and I spoke about. Yep, so this is to replace a 1972 Ford tractor. And amazingly, the maintenance has kept it serviceable for almost 50 years. 50 years, a tractor. Gosh.
Jeez.
I know, that's a long time. So this request includes a power rake to work on surface areas as well as a boom sprayer to assist in fertilization. Any questions or comments? 50 years.
Sounds good.
I know. It's almost like we have farmers working because they keep their equipment well and going up for that long, you know? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion.
Aye. Sorry, I couldn't get my mute button fast.
That's okay. I've done it several times this evening, Councilor Dolan. Thank you very much. Motion passes. I have a few strikes to do, and I'm doing these strikes basically because, hey, this is my last Public Works Committee meeting. And someone else will be taking care of the winter parking ban. So I'm just going to strike these letters that I have in my committee, and you'll still have them on file, of course. They've been there since 2019. And whoever takes over, I wish them well. And so from the docket of December 17th, 2019, I entertain a motion to strike the following: a communication from Robert Peterson stating the winter parking ban is outdated.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Any comments or questions? Please, Councilor.
I'm going to move to strike in the spirit that you stated. However, I do think this is an issue that warrants discussion at some point in the near future.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whoever's next. Thank you, Councilor DeSilva.
You're welcome.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of December 17, 2019. I entertain a motion to strike the following: a communication from Haley Fisk suggesting the winter parking ban is unnecessary.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of December 17th, 2019. I entertain a motion to strike the following. A communication from George Jackson suggesting an as-needed parking ban.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. I'm going to ask for an adjournment for the last time for Public Works. Last time as a city councilor. I'd like
Second.
adjournment for the Public Works Committee at 8:50. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good evening, reporting for budget and appropriations. I've got 4 motions to bring forward tonight from the docket of December 21st, 2021. I entertain a motion to authorize the payment of previous year bills totaling $880 to the police department. No transfer is needed as there is sufficient funding in Fund 3335.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. So these are just to cover costs that were outside the 911 grant. So the 911 grant covered everything except for $880 worth. So that's all this is for. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to authorize the Attleboro schools to pay $5,544.98 to the following FY21 bills. I'll read the vendor and then the amount. CDW 17 cents. Intrado $4,331.36. Kristen Desvoyaz $354. I apologize if I mispronounce that name. TRC $650. Eric Armand $16.95. UMass Medicaid $192.50.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah, as we've been doing, these are invoices that have come in after the fiscal year, previous fiscal year ended. So this is just to pay contractual and other obligations. This isn't for a transfer. This is just to authorize the school department to pay these obligations. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $45,000 from account 1124100-5783000 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1145100-53010 Treasurer Professional Services for the treasurer to pay for attorney fees for the remainder of fiscal 21.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. So if you remember budget time, we talked about this. Laura gave an indication, the treasurer gave an indication this would be coming down as it does every year because as we know for the last several years, going back to the previous administration, we've level funded the budget. When we level fund the budget, in order to get it passed, once free cash is certified, some of this stuff comes down. This is, as I said, the same thing we do annually, and this is really for the tax title and the title takings. The tax titles are down, which means that Laura and her team have done a great job in collecting some of these outdue debts. And what they've done is they've put more properties back on the payrolls, which the tax rolls, which is a really good thing. Let me just see. Yeah, again, this is just to get the treasurer through the remainder of the fiscal year, not the calendar year. And the other thing is this is one of those appropriations that ultimately will pay for itself as she continues to get more and more properties on the rolls. Councilor Conti.
So I understand that some cases can be more challenging than others, and then of course burning up more legal time than others. But I wondered, I didn't see in the backup material whether or not she was processing a higher volume this year or not. Maybe was it just more difficult cases, or is it a higher volume?
So the volume's about the same, Counselor. I spoke with the treasurer earlier, and there's one of our top 10 taxpayers that we're going to need representation for because there's a complicated matter in front of them, and we know it's going to get more complicated as we go forward.
That'll do it.
Yep. Very astute, Counselor. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. From the docket of November 2nd, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of $9,557,617 through the American Rescue Plan Act and any future amendments.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. So a couple things on this. This is the opera funds, and I don't know if everyone had an opportunity to read Deb Gould's memo that she sent down today. Deb and I have been working on this for a couple weeks to figure out what autonomy does the council have? How can we protect these grant funds where there's so much we don't know? What can they be used for? What can't they be used for? Currently in the APA fund 24-23, there's only $4,779,223.54. And I think we should approve that amount. And what that will do would be allow the administration to be able to initially get the ball rolling. So that's about 50% of what this appropriation is. The ask would be to have the council, the administration, let us know exactly what are the projects they're working on, what has the funds already been earmarked for, what are we looking at. The other thing it does is it gives a little bit of control to the council for the second half of these funds. And we know there's more coming, but what it's going to do is allow us to kind of pump the brakes, practice the pause when we're looking at what some of the other needs are going to be down the road, because we have, I believe, until 2024 to expend all these funds. So as opposed to just expending it in one fell swoop, it doesn't handcuff the administration, and what it does is it allows for us to get some projects going. Councilor Conti, then Councilor Cobus.
So I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to read Deb's memo today. It's been a hellacious day. And Jay, I know you well enough that you would not do this unless you felt comfortable, because you're cutting loose $4 million basically without, unless Deb's memo has something in there that I might have missed. So can you enlighten me about what Deb's memo contained?
Yeah, so what we talked about essentially, Deb, and just to give you a little bit of background, Deb and I started talking back in November about what we can use the money for. What is the council's role in this? What can we hold back? What can't we hold back? And I think where this is a one-time infusion of funds that we're probably never going to see again, especially to this amount. It was really, how do we know what's going on? Because Jeremy did come down at our behest and he gave us the presentation. And, you know, I know there's some water and wastewater work that needs to be done. I know there's some other organizations that we can give some funding support to, such as New Hope, as they're trying to build a new shelter. So let me just read really quickly a couple paragraphs, and I'll go as quick as I can here because I know it's a late hour. The council can vote to approve the expenditure of all the city's 9.5, or could vote to approve the expenditure of a portion of the opera at this time. Please note this memorandum only involves APA funds for which the city is a direct recipient. The city will be subrecipient of APA funds from Bristol County Commissioners. To date, the city's received 4.7 million in APA funds. The interest on these funds remains with the grant and will be accounted for within the grant. The funds are required to be held in an interest-bearing account. Mayor agrees the funds are best kept with and used towards APA eligible expenses. Should the council choose to limit the current expenditure of the APA grant by approving only a portion of the grant at this time, I recommend the council not be overly restrictive so the administration's initiatives can proceed and the APA funds can benefit the city as quickly as possible. For example, approval to send all APA funds presently available, 4.7, would provide the administration funding to begin its APA initiatives and would provide the council an opportunity in the future for a substantive update on use of the funds when another request is made.
Thank you. I feel a little bit more comfortable, but I still feel $4 million is a big vote. I'd like to hear what Councilor Cobus has to say.
Well, real quick, if I can sing, it's my committee meeting. I appreciate your thoughts as always, Rick. And you know, I'm struggling with this. I felt the only reason I wanted to introduce the 4.7 is really kind of as an olive branch, just in case, we're not meeting after tonight. We don't have any more committee meetings until the next term, unless something happens. So I wanted to at least get the conversation started. I wanted Deb's memo to be read into the, be part of the discussion here tonight. I don't know if 4.7 is the right number. We haven't been approached for anything substance important that has started or that's coming down. So, I'm okay even holding this and carrying it over. I don't necessarily see the urgency. I think that's important that the council still have some level of oversight or at least the opportunity to discuss. So I at least wanted to present a compromise. Councilor Corbis?
I'm okay with the, so 4.5, or was it 4.7 million? That also makes me nervous without some real clear oversight, but I'm comfortable moving forward with that and voting it out as such out of committee. Is that, would you want me to make a motion to amend it as such? Is that would that make sense at this point? Or are you thinking about, would it be better to hold off on the second? I'm open to either. I think I'd like to move forward with the 4.7 million and so that we're not blocking progress right
But
away.
not the 9.557.
Correct.
So I think you do need to make a motion.
Yes. So I was asking the chair for guidance. I could go either way with either rescinding the second. I would prefer not to do that. I'd prefer to make a motion to move to 4.7 million. Does that make sense?
And I second that motion.
Perfect. So we have an amendment?
I move to amend the motion to read from $9 million to read $4,779,223.54.
And that's the motion I seconded.
Yep. So we'll take comments on the amendment before voting on the amendment. Then we'll move to vote if this on whatever dollar amount comes out of this.
Yeah.
Any Councilor Corbis?
In the main comment is that's the exact number from Deb's memo that she was also comfortable with. So it makes sense to me.
Councilor Conti?
I don't want to paralyze the administration. I don't want to paralyze the department heads. And I know some of where that $4 million is going, and some of those wastewater projects are really big projects. I mean, we're talking a lot of money. And you're absolutely right. This is a windfall. And, you and I think, and maybe the three of us all agree that stabilization account is going begging, because as this money flows in, there have been so many pent up needs. And I am Mr. Capital Improvement. So I've got one devil sitting on this shoulder saying, gee, we need to fix these things that are deteriorating. And I got another devil over here saying, we're spending $4,700,000. And so I'm conflicted. And the 9 million is just a really scary number. So I'm very happy with the amendment. I know this is federal money. It's not local tax money, but it's still our tax money. And I still watch the checkbook. So do you. And so does Councilor Cobus. I mean, we're all uniform in that same philosophy. So I think the 9.5 was a bad idea to put in front of the council, but I think trimming it down to 4.79 with Deborah's memo as a support to the full council so they can take the vote. It's a big vote, and I'm happy with the amendment. And that concludes my comments.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor. And just if I can address a couple of your points. One, my conversation with Deb initially was, does the council have the right? Are we justified in asking for the administration every time there's a project to send money down and expend the proceeds of the grant that way? Her DOR and her work with Cindy Amara We're not able to do that. So this puts us in a situation where we can still have some of that control and still ask for some of those project details to come forward. As far as the devils on your shoulder, I think they leave your shoulder and come to mine, because I've had the same discussions. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking, I'm like, man, I saw Vice President Jackson's list, and I pulled out the service merchandise calendar, if you want, the capital improvements plan. And Rick, you're right. I mean, so many of the things that have come out over the last couple of weeks have been on that capital improvements plan for 5, 10, 15 years. And, you know, almost everything Dennis asked for, pickleball courts, he's asked for pickleball courts in the past. The lighting for Walsh and Hayward and Owsley, that's in the capital improvements plan. So I think it's that balance, right? So if we can wipe out some of the capital improvement needs, it helps us in the future, in the short term, and a little bit in the long term. So when we had this opportunity to be able to go through and say, do we do the whole 9.5 or do we do the 4.7977? I felt a little bit better, especially, you know, we know Deb well enough to know that if Deb said, hold on to it, she would have told us, hold on to it. And I think that she's probably better in the know than we are in terms of some of the projects that are coming down the line. Councilor Conti and then Councilor DeSimone.
So if I can just add one more perspective to what you just said, which is all on point, is that, you know, Peter's not here now, but if Peter was here, we would have a smile about a Vector truck. Both Peter and I, for 12 years, have sat through capital improvement plans with a Vector truck in the capital improvement plan, saying it was an urgent need, priority number one. And when it first came on, it was $250,000. Yep. And the president of the council then, Frank Cook, was just appalled at the number. Well, you know, the last time I looked at it was $600,000. Now it's probably $800,000. And suddenly that $9 million figure doesn't look so big anymore, because the Vector truck is needed for exactly what Councilor Cooper was complaining about last week, with the basins are not getting cleaned out and the silt is going right into the wetlands. So there's the two devils at work. And I'll be quiet. Let's just get this done and let's go home. Right.
Well, we can't keep down the road getting a lot more expensive every year.
Yeah, inflation's out of control.
Yep. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Councilor Dillisley. I appreciate the conversation and your concern. I too had a robust conversation with Deb about this issue last week. But the way I understand it, there are constraints on this money. I mean, it is limited. There are, as you may recall from the presentation made by Jeremy, this is not unfettered discretion that the administration has. They have to comply with the law as sent down from the federal government about the ways in which these monies can be used. There is some discretion in there, but it's not like they can do whatever they want. Number one. Number two, I appreciate authorizing the use of some of these funds, because in particular, I'm thinking about the administration's proposed rent relief program. People have been waiting for this, you know, and this is something I'd like to see get in the public hands as soon as possible. Those are people can immediately and directly benefit from these funds. So I particularly am not interested in delaying at least the release of those funds anytime in the near future. And I think by doing it as our auditor suggested, and I hold Deb in high regard, and her expertise is always welcome. I appreciate her effort. We release this set of funds. What is the administration doing? The next time the request comes down, we get to kind of get an update, ask some questions, but there is some constraints there, you know, with what they can do with it. So I don't want to belabor the point, but it is what it is. So I wish we could do more with this money and that we had more say, yes, but we apparently don't. So I think Deb's proposal is kind of the ideal way, in the way that we have to proceed. But I have seen this question come up in several municipalities in the Commonwealth, this very question: how much control do we have? How much control does the mayor have? So it's an interesting discussion, but I think we have our answer. I think we need to move forward and get these funds out. And I'm particularly mindful of the rent relief program for some of the people who are hurting and need those funds. Thank you, Councilor Dillisley.
No, you're quite welcome. I just want to make sure that just a response, you know, it's not that we're delaying the response here, right? And there's certainly guidelines. It's 96 pages of guidelines, as Jeremy said repeatedly, right? And the other thing is, I want to be mindful of what's going to happen the rest of this fiscal year, the rest of in next calendar year. So we shouldn't be in a rush to expend all the funds just because we can. I think we need to see how we come out on the other end, because I think there's still a lot we don't know and how that is all going to shake out. Thank you for your comments, though. Councilor Dolan.
So yeah, there absolutely are constraints, because I just read an article today that Methuen has to pay back the state $500,000 for not properly spending the ARPA funds that they were given. So yeah, there are constraints, and they're watching, and they'll catch up with you if you're not spending it properly. That's all. I just wanted to add that.
Yep. Thank you. And I think what you're saying there, Councilor Dolan, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're saying is this is the right approach, incrementally and responsibly, until we try to figure out everything.
Right. And I think, with Jeremy and Deb, that it's in good hands, that they will abide by and make sure that they're following up on what those constraints are and appropriately spending it.
Yep, totally agree. Any other thoughts, questions, or concerns on this, folks? Councilor Waterman, you're muted. That was a
I'm unmuted. I totally agree as well. I don't think we can really see where we're going to be in 15 months. And in 15 months, we can make more decisions. And when in 2024 is the deadline? January or middle of the year or what?
I can find out for sure. I don't have that. I can get that for you.
Okay.
No worries.
But I would say half now is fair. I agree. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for that sentiment. All right. We're going to call for a vote. And again, this is on the amendment. So this is on the amendment of $4,779,223.54. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that amendment passes. So now back to the motion as amended from the docket of November 2nd, 2021. I entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of $4,779,223.54 through the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, and any future grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And that is all the business I have for budget and appropriations. We'd like to call for an adjournment at 9:12.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 9:12. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Zoning and Land Use Committee to order at 9:12. We have two items tonight. First one, from the docket of December 7th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the following. To accept per section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended the layout of Blue Pride Way as a public way, approximate length of 700 feet from station 0 plus 11 to station 6 plus 99.97, as shown on a plan and profile entitled City of Attleboro Layout Plan and Profile, Blue Pride Way from the intersection of Rathbun Willard Drive to the intersection of Rathbun Willard Drive, date October 14th, 2021, prepared by Daniel F. Fleming, PLS, and Alicia A. Zerkowski, PE.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. This is, had the public hearing for this last week. This is to lay out Blue Pride Way so that the address of the new high school could be on Blue Pride Way. Encourage everybody to support it. No further questions or no further comments. Anybody else have anything? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And the second item. From the docket of September 7th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the layout of a portion of Nickel Avenue, length of 486.50 feet from station 0 to station 4 plus 86.50 as a public way, and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements as shown on a plan and profile entitled Roadway Acceptance Plan of Nickel Avenue in Attleboro, Massachusetts, dated July 6, 2018, prepared by Sean Michael Leach, PLS, which plan has been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works.
Second.
Motion's in order. We had delayed the public hearing on this and had the public hearing. Nobody showed up to speak in favor or against it. I suggest we get this approved before the winter gets here so that we can make sure it gets plowed and all that. Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That concludes the business for zoning and land use. Call
Excuse
for an
me,
adjournment.
Council,
Yes.
Council Cobus, before you adjourn, thank you.
Sure.
Are you going to bring out the parcel of land on Pond Street in the town of Seekonk?
We voted on that in October.
No, we did not. We actually didn't have the public hearing till November 16th. It came out in October. We declared the public hearing for November 16th. And nobody spoke in favor or against on November 16th.
Let me reach.
Double
back
check
out
your
to-
email.
Yep,
If you can-
let me reach back out to Virginia. I'll
Can
call
you-
for a committee
I-
meeting 10 minutes prior to at 6:50 next week to.
Yeah, I
to
just
move this out
double
immediately.
checked that email that you sent to Virginia, and I just double checked on that, and that's exactly how it reads.
Okay,
All right, but thank you, yes.
got it. But I'll double check on it and so I call for a committee meeting at 6:50 next week to verify that.
Thank you,
Or
Council
to
Cobus.
vote this out. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn at 9:16.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:16.
I'd like to call License Committee to order at 9:16. I just have a couple tonight from the docket of December 21st, 2021. I entertain a motion to approve the automatic amusement device license application for the American Legion Post 312 on Newport Ave for one pool table and one jukebox.
Second.
Thank you, Council Jackson. I assume anybody have any questions or anything? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion
Aye.
passes. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the automatic amusement device license application for Junior's Bar and Grill at 147 Pine Street for a one pool table and one jukebox.
Second.
Any questions?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Hold on one second. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a hold on. From the docket of December 21st, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the Class 2 application from Seekonk Gas Repair DBA 123 Mobile at 300 County Street with 4 customer spaces and 9 display spaces.
Second.
Any questions or anything?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So I have one more tonight and I realize it's getting late and which is unfortunate because I know that we all have jobs and we're tired and but I'm gonna get this out of committee and I would appreciate any input from any other counselors that wish to provide input. Obviously I'll call on my committee first regarding this. So this is regarding the revocation of R&D. So from the docket of September 7th, 2021, I entertain a motion for the revocation of a Class 2 license for R&D Motors at 116 Dickens Street.
Second.
Thank you. So before we get to discussion, so basically what it boils down to is, I'm just looking at my calendar. We will vote on this as a council on the 21st. And if we do decide to revoke this license, it will be, it goes to the mayor. So you're probably looking at 9 days of a revocation before the license would expire on the 31st anyway. His application for his class 2 for 2022 is in front of us right now. It has not, I'm not taking out of committee yet. And so, which is going to put us into the next year. So I just wanted to make you aware that if we decide to revoke this license, it's basically going to be, you know, and then, you know, you go through January, depending on how the timeline goes, he's looking at probably 3 weeks or so of not having a license, whether we approve it next term or not. And I know some of you won't, 2 of you won't be here. So I don't know who read his email today, who read the solicitor's email today, or the vehicle purchase checklist that was drafted for him by his lawyer. So I would like everybody's input, and I would appreciate any input, because I've really been struggling with this. And I don't want to belabor it. I know everybody's probably tired, and we can certainly discuss more on the floor, but I'd like to discuss it a little bit tonight anyway. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you very much, Councilor Dolan. So my input that you've asked for. First of all, you've done a great job and I'm going to call it an investigation, because that's what you have to do, I guess, with all these licenses, correct? You've done a great job. You've brought in all the people that needed to be brought in. I did read the city solicitor's opinion. To me, it was vague, because it doesn't say yes or no, no, yes. So that
I can address that after you speak too.
Okay, thank you. And it just threw me off, but
I called her, so I will address that after.
Thank you. So at this point in time, because this particular person has put the city, put the city council through a lot of time and going through just, listening to him and his of woe and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and not following what he's supposed to follow day after day after day, month after month, year after year, like just never complying with what you're supposed to comply with. It's not that hard to do that. I would really like to know how you feel about it, as far as how are you voting?
And I'd be happy to discuss that if you want to hear me first.
I do, please.
Okay. Please. So I've been struggling with this a lot. So basically what it boils down to is I spoke to the solicitor. I had asked her for an opinion to see if we could issue a 6-month license, if we could put him on probation, if what our options are. And as you stated, she basically discussed about the proper person and such, right? So again, I have been thinking about this, and I hope you all know that I take this committee seriously, and I've done my best, that I'm capable of at this point. And so I've really struggled with this in the sense of, I talked to the guy from Billy Goodwin from R&V in Rhode Island, who's wonderful, and took the time to speak with me today. And I just wanted to let you all know too, he had him on a do not process list for his registrations in Rhode Island. He put those registrations through because legally he can't hold them, because there are no charges on Danny Martinez. There are no charges on him, which I struggle with in a sense. If there were charges pending, this would be a lot easier for me. And there aren't. There are no charges pending. And I also spoke to the solicitor. The solicitor said, I'm right, whatever I decide, is what she said. Mm-hmm. Could we revoke it on the proper person thing? Yes. And then, Kate, with and I appreciate your kind words. And when you talk about time after time, the funny thing is, I am not an investigator. When I go, and whoever has this committee next, when I go there, I count cars, I talk to them, I try to keep them in line. I do everything I can to keep them in line, but I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do when they sell a car, when they sign paperwork, I don't want to know what any of these car dealerships, and I don't know if this went to the whole council or not, but I have another dealership that we just approved their license because I went to his property and I counted his cars, and he has 21 complaints. The Attorney General reached out to us. He has 21 consumer complaints against him. 21. I didn't know about them. 21. We just approved his license. So shame on me, shame on us. Whatever. We didn't know. But the thing with R&D, he has no consumer complaints, excuse me. He doesn't have any consumer complaints. So then I got this other guy over here who we just all approved his license, and he has 21 at the Attorney General's office. That's kind of a big deal if you go to the Attorney General's office. So then I was struggling with that information. So, and then I spoke to Billy at the Rhode Island RMV. He's such a nice guy, and he's been so helpful to me. And he didn't tell me what to do. He just told me that he put through the stuff because he has no legal right to hold those registrations. It all depends on what we do here. So he also said that, look, I don't want to take anybody's livelihood. He said, I am willing to work with him. I will be happy to have him in my office and to go over any issues that he may have. And I don't know how many people read his letter. He does have some mental capacity issues. And I'm using his words. This is not my judgment on him. These are his words, not mine. So then I was talking to somebody today that I was really struggling with this. And I said, I got this human factor in my head because I know he has a family. I know he has a daughter. I know he has a son. And I'm thinking to myself, and it's killing me because this guy can't just walk into unemployment and get a check because this is his business. So for all my small business supporters out here, this is a small business. So that was weighing on me. So I was saying to this person, I got to take the human factor out of it and just make a decision. And then they said something to me. They're like, why? Why do you have to take the human factor out of it? That plays a role. And I didn't even think of that. I was like, and it does. Every decision that we make on this council, there's a human factor behind it, no matter which way. I mean, we represent 44,000 people, so there's always a human factor. So I'm not going to vote to revoke his. I'm not going to vote to revoke his license, and then we'll deal with his renewal come January, whatever the date is. I did talk to Virginia. We're not definite on when committee falls or whatever, full council or whatever the case is. Either way, he's going to be penalized because he's not going to have a license for 3 to 4 weeks. So whether or not you all feel that that's punishment enough, certainly that's your choice, your vote, your decision. Like I said, I appreciate all your input. I respect all your opinions, and this one's been tough for me. I feel like it wasn't as cut and dry. I just want to be careful on my decision and our decision legally, and everything else. So I'm sorry that I rambled. I know it's late. So if anybody else wants to speak, I'm sorry. I don't know who had the hand up first, Councilor Reynolds or Councilor DeSimone?
Councilor Reynolds.
Okay, Councilor Reynolds, you're muted.
So Laura, thank you for that. I'm just going to say this about this gentleman. I do think he has some health issues that has caused him some mental capacity issues, and I think he's tried to be honest about that. I also like the gentleman in Rhode Island, and I think it's important that there are no charges pending. and that we did, unbeknownst to us, pass somebody that has 21 charges. So all of the things that I know about this gentleman is that he's not an unworthy person of owning a business. So I am going along with Laura, but under a 6-month, see how he comes about. His attorney has promised that she will be helping him a great deal more than she was, not realizing how little he knew. I do know people in the industry, and if you are not in the industry or did not learn about the industry going in, as this gentleman has not, you are already underwater. This is not an industry to not understand the rules, not understand which way you're going, because there are a lot of people that cut corners and they make you think that it's okay. It's not okay, and he has found out in the most difficult of ways that it isn't. So I'm willing to give him that 6-month tryout, and hopefully all these people that have come forward to say that they are going to help him will help him move into this next 6 months. So I'm going to go along with Laura and vote not to revoke.
And so just to add, before anybody else speaks, regarding the 6-month, so the city solicitor did say that we really shouldn't, if we issue, our licenses are for a year, a calendar year. So it has to be a calendar year, but whomever has this committee come January, we have complete discretion. We could call them in front of us every month, every 2 months, every 3 months. We could stop in anytime we want. We could have him report to us for whatever. So we have that discretion. The license would be for a year, but again, we can revoke at any time if anything should happen. So I just wanted to make that clear that I neglected to, and I left that out. Councilor Holmes, Councilor DeSimone was next, if that's all right.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. I'll get to the point. I as Councilor Jackson said, I appreciate your effort and your the extremes to which the attempts that you're making to be as fair as possible. Me as well. So I read his email, I read the solicitor's letter, and I happened to have occasion recently to rewatch the last hearing. And if you had asked me when I finished watching the last hearing, if I was in favor of revocation or approval, it would have been revocation all the way. It's not good. The stuff that we heard is not good. And having a business is a privilege, it's not a right. However, when I read his email and I started thinking that this is someone's livelihood. This is, as you said, a small business. He has 2 kids, I think he said in the email. So this isn't just about him. And I know you could say, well, he got himself into this mess, fair enough, but there's consequences to our decisions. So when I factor in the current situation as in where we are, that effectively he's going to lose at least 3 weeks pay in January until his new license comes up. You could view that as punishment of a sort, although self-imposed, or if you will. So for the sake of 9 days, I'm going to agree with you to approve it for December, knowing that this is all going to come back in January, at which time he would have to some degree been punished, if you will, again, not through any effort on our part. But I'm going to give him I'm going to agree with you to not revoke it because of it is a small business, and I'm particularly worried this time of year in our current economic situation with kids and a family to support. So all that other stuff definitely weighs on me. And as Council Reynolds said, there's no consumer complaints. So yeah, this is a really interesting conundrum. So I'm going to put that all on a scale, and I'm going to come out with you at this moment in time, and then we'll talk all again and come in January. So thank you, Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. Councilor Holmes?
Thank you. I think that, again, repeating the no consumer complaints, I am going to vote to allow them to have their license. He has acknowledged that there was a head injury, and we've encouraged him to try to, the administrative piece, he needs to have somebody in there that's helping him with that. But a lot of the issues are related to us being on the border of Rhode Island, that Rhode Island has certain sets of laws and Massachusetts has others. And we see this all the time. Look, when you drive in Rhode Island on 95, how many billboards are there for marijuana dispensaries to come to Massachusetts for it? So it's hard being on the border, but he has to do things above board if he wants to continue to serve in the city. And so again, we just have to encourage him to do that. But the fact that there's no consumer complaints, and I just always want to think the best in individuals. I have to say that I'm going to vote to allow him to have his license at this point.
Thank you. Anyone else want to weigh in?
Yes,
Councilor Waterman?
I agree with Councillor Holmes. And I was on the fence too, but I do believe that if he has his lawyer working with him, and she really meant that she would do that, that will make a difference. And I think he's been, the only word that comes to my mind is chastised enough for the time being. Let's hope he's learned his lesson from coming before us, and I'm willing to give him a chance.
Thank you. Councilor Jackson?
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Just one more thing. I just hope that when we have all these new businesses that are coming into Attleboro, that they're actually clarified on what they need to do before they open up, how they need to operate. They have to be clarified on how a business operates. And we have to be sure that they're good for the city of Attleboro. And maybe that's just not happening.
Yeah, I see your point. I mean, this is a tough one. I mean, this could be a full-time job for somebody. And again, we're not in the minutia of everything they do every single day. I had no idea this other dealership had 21 attorney general complaints against them. I don't know until somebody tells me. So, you know, I mean, when we talk about businesses, I mean, the car dealership business is a unique one, to say the least, because everybody's like Joe and Bob and Tom and whatever. Nobody even knows anybody's real names or last names, I should say. So, you know, it's a unique business for sure. But, you know, I mean, this is where we're at. So, you know, I don't know. That's where we are today. So we're going to vote this out of committee tonight. Councilor Conti.
So, Councilor Dolan, I've seen 5 councilors have your job, and you've done the best of the 5.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right. This could easily be a full-time job. No question. And there's many days I wish it was a full-time job, because days like today, I didn't get a chance to read his letter. Did I get a copy of the solicitor's letter? You circulated it to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, and there was there was a third document there that I didn't see.
Yes. The first one's going to say R&D sales checklist.
Okay. If I've got them, I'm going to read them, and I promise you I'll read them.
Virginia Central.
But I'm going to tell you, I'm on the fence still, because I haven't read those 3 documents.
I
understand. This is after the public hearing that we're getting this information.
I understand.
The message I wanted to leave to you is that you have gone through great cognitive dissonance on this case, because you care about the job that you're doing, and I compliment you for that, because you don't know this, but councils before you just mailed it in on licenses. You know, they didn't go out and count cars, and they did not do the job, and I really appreciate you doing it, because there was a short period of time there when I think Parika had the job that we needed some help, and I jumped in and I went and visited some guys. And one of the guys I went to see got convicted of dealing cocaine in the back of his shop. How the hell was I supposed to see that? It's amazing in your little area of responsibility what is going on? Think about the biggest heroin bust in the history of Attleboro is in a car dealership. So you can't beat yourself up on things that you don't know. You can only make decisions on what you do know. And I'm going to let it go at that. That concludes my comments.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate all your kind words. That's really nice. And, considering what people have said to me during some of my visits and have not done what I've asked them to do, that I have to keep after and everything. The funny thing is, we're all like, oh, he has no consumer complaints, which is great. But he's always been cooperative. I mean, when I first started, I was told I needed a police escort to go there. And I'm like, what? I was like, I'm really not interested in that. But anyway, I did take a police escort. I didn't need a police escort. I didn't need a police escort anywhere. He's given me, besides this stuff, he's kind of giving me the least amount of lip, that I get from all the other people that when I walk on their lot, they're, not happy to see me and they want to know who I think I am and la, la, la. So it's been a struggle. And I'll tell you, if I don't have it this next term, I'm gonna be all right with that decision. Anyway, so those are my feelings. Those are my thoughts. This is how I'm gonna vote. You have all the information. It was after the public hearing, but it's not from the public. It's from him and his lawyer and the business. So it's not other people giving testimony. So I really want you to consider everything that you've gotten. And so with that, if everybody's ready to vote, if everybody's good. So all those in favor? Aye. Just to get it out of committee.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we're adjourned at 9:42. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 9:42. I only have one thing on my motions this evening, and it's from the docket of December 21st, 2021. May entertain a motion to declare the following as surplus and available for disposition. One copy machine, it's a Canon IR 2800. The serial number is MPJ20163, and it's in very poor condition.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. And that is all the business that the City Property and Claims has today, this evening. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 9:43.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 9:43.
Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee is canceled this evening.
Does anyone else have anything from the special committees whatsoever?
Nope.
Then I guess we are adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.